Last day of the year. And without a doubt, last day of the year, and it has been a spectacular year, to say the least, in what we've been able to do this year with JAKIB and with the show. And we can't thank you guys enough. I don't thank you guys enough for you being able to do this for us. And I just want to thank you each and every single day here, as everybody's had a fantastic holiday, I hope. And we just, again, want to thank you guys in what has been a remarkable content year. This has been easily one of the best content years I've ever had in sports broadcasting. The Eagles have been an absolute gold mine when it comes to content. The NFL has been sensational when it comes to content. College football, my Canes go tonight for the ability to keep playing for a national championship, maybe against Ohio State. I can't wait to see that. It's the biggest game for the program since that national championship game over 25 years ago. I text the fellas. I've talked to the fellas. We'll talk more about that. Battle Royale will be moved up, I'm hoping, at 4 o'clock Eastern time. So we will have that. Xander will join us early during this holiday time. But it's absolutely been a great, great year, and we thank you very much. Monster content year. Can't thank you guys enough. All right. I think this weekend is going to have some of the worst. It's going to have some of the worst NFL football games we've ever seen. But there are going to be some football games this weekend that are going to dictate the pecking order when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, you've got Tampa Bay, Carolina. You've got Baltimore, Pittsburgh. You've got Seattle and San Francisco. Those are all critical games. And I'll say this, that Bears team could lose to that Lions team. What a way for the Lions, again, being eliminated, to knock out the Bears when it comes to seeding and make it a more difficult role. Remember, there's great rivalries in that NFC North. Bears and Packers, Packers and Bears, Bears and Lions. You see every time the Lions and whoever has to play the Minnesota Vikings, the Vikings are going to show up. That is without a doubt one of the best and most legendary when it comes to rivalries, next to the NFC East. Absolutely, man. It's going to be a very interesting weekend. And the Eagles obviously kind of caught in the middle here. What to do with reps or rest? Okay? Reps or rest? What do you do against the Commanders on Sunday? Happy New Year, Sills and JAKIB family. Crazy how time flies. Fastest year and season overall. Been a wild NFL season, especially injury-wise, all over the place. No question about it. Injuries have played a factor throughout the entire NFL this year, especially when you're talking teams like Cincinnati. You see what happened up again in Detroit this season. No question about it. So Nick Sirianni spoke today. We'll talk a little more about that. We'll get into what he had to say. He didn't want to address whether or not that he was going to. It's a great way to kind of push it off onto the players, saying that I haven't talked to the players yet on what we want to do. You know for a fact, right now, December 31st, New Year's Eve, you know that these guys right now already know what they're going to do. So that's kind of was a lame-ass excuse. And I get it. They didn't want to put competitive edge out there on what they're going to do when Commanders preparing for this game this weekend. Why would you tell somebody what you're going to do on a Wednesday? Even if you knew what you were going to do last week. I mean, it's funny when I hear the media people on the air in Philadelphia, and I hear them talking, going, well, they're coming down to that decision. They already know this decision. They made this decision a week ago. They probably made this decision flying back from Buffalo on what they were going to do. Teams already have, they're steps ahead of what they're going to play for. When the Philadelphia Eagles realized that they weren't going to get the number 1 overall seed, then it became more about positioning. And I'm telling you, that Rams loss the other night probably made it easier for the Eagles to decide on what to do this weekend. Because the Rams would have still been in a position to keep climbing in the pecking order. And listen, there's no doubt that right now this is going to be more about rest for Philly. And I do think they need it, especially on the offensive side. Hit the like button, guys. I appreciate it. Jason, thank you for the supers. We, without a doubt, are going to talk a little bit about what's happened this year. I like to do year-ender shows. Okay? What's been the biggest story this year for the Eagles? If you had to put a headline for the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles season, it has been what? If you had to put this at the top of the Philadelphia Inquirer or the top of the JAKIB Sports newsletter, what would it be? Hurts sucks. No, I wouldn't put that there. Hurts sucks. Running game blows or Vic does it again. Vic does it again. I like that headline. Vic does it again. Boy, I like that. Vic does it again. Eagles' young defense matures. I dig that. Eagles' young defense matures. You are playing with momentum heading into the playoffs on one side of the football. AJ drama? I don't think that supersedes what's going on defense. That was a big story. I think the biggest story right now is your defense. Okay? Sills eats crow on what? I've been right on almost every fucking thing. Play it safe. Play it safe. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, how about this one? Nick plays it safe. Nick plays it safe. Vic does it again. Eagles' young defense matures, and Nick plays it safe. Barkley struggles. Okay? Sills is right about everything. I'm going to put that number one. Sills right about everything. I love the hat we had, too. You know, a guy made me a red hat there, too, right? Let's see. AJ's bullshit was one of the most idiotic self-inflicted issues the Eagles had to face this season. A little long on the headline, but I like the premise. Believe it or not, M. Reyes comes swinging out of the gate, and this guy hits a Pete Rose single. Usually this guy takes an offer for the first hour, and he's hitting about 190 by the end of the program. Hard to believe M. Reyes gets out of the gate, and he's out a man on first. Pretty shocking that this guy, first up, he ends up getting a hit. Kind of floppy a little bit there, but it was a weak single to right. How you doing? Pump blue money. Pump blue money. All right. Hey, Pump, you better defend yourself. Pump blue money. All right. I love it. We really have offensive coaches that will cost us a dynasty. Woo! You're right. That's a great topic. If this team doesn't go on to win multiple Super Bowls, who would have been the responsibility fall at the feet of? The inability of the coaches to not be more creative with the offense, or the limitations in the quarterback? I say it's the coaching. The quarterback's already proven he can win a Super Bowl. The coaches have proven right now, in my opinion, they can't be stable. The only thing that's not stable in Philadelphia right now is the coordinator picks every year. Isn't that fair? And the coordinator picks have affected the quarterback. One year you get him a good one, the next year you get him a half-assed one. Right? Think about that. It's been the coaches. Sills, I heard the new Eagle facility going to use Sirianni and Petula as cement foundation for the building. It'd be a wobbly foundation, that's for sure. If that's what they're going to do. I mean, right? I like these headlines you guys have come up with here. I do. I like the headlines here, man. Good stuff here. All right. Let's go with another one here. So let me see. Hold on here. Get back over here. How he strikes again. I don't think Roseman got enough credit for. You know what's funny? Xander, when was that? Was that in training camp? Or was that at the combines? That Howie said, hey, this is going to take a little time. I'm paraphrasing. When was that he said that? It's not going to look what it is going to be. What was the line he used? When he talked earlier in the year, he says, what you're seeing right now, it's not how it's going to look at the end. Didn't he say something like that? I mean, it was like maybe like pre-draft, like after the draft. Remember how he came out and said, it's still not going to be what it looks like by the end of the season. That ended up to be true. Because the stuff that he did in the offseason, all the way up until September, absolutely was not good enough for the football team to be able to go out and win championships. And he saw that. That's why he made all those deals. Happy New Year to you too, my friend. This MF for Petula admitted to run the ball just because Jesus help us all. Yeah. That press conference, I heard that when Nick, he did yesterday. And by the way, I got a little bit more here, so we'll talk about what he said today. Seals, how many more Super Bowls do you think this team will, in the next 3 to 5 years, win now? Your coaching and your direction of how you direct your offense, if you keep Vic Fangio in the building in the next 5 years, you could probably win 1 to 2 Super Bowls. If you keep that current coaching staff in place, you may win none. And you may be only having the two with the one appearance like Seattle did. Right now, you're at a crossroads and a fork in the road. You're either going to be Seattle with Russell Wilson, or you're going to be the Kansas City Chiefs with Mahomes. Pick one. Okay? You're going to be one or the other. You're not going to be in the middle. Seattle had a back-to-back Super Bowl run, right? Never went back again. I'm not sure they ever went back to an NFC championship game. And what was the reasoning? Run game fell apart. Remember? Marshawn Lynch got old. It wasn't Russell Wilson. Isn't that funny? In Seattle, everyone thought, well, we got a young quarterback, and we got a quarterback that actually won more football games in his first 4 years and went to back-to-back Super Bowls, won one himself, had a chance to go back-to-back if it wasn't for a shitty call by Pete Carroll. And get this, they actually won more than you in that time frame when they won and went back-to-back Super Bowls. What happened? Quarterback didn't get worse. The run game went away. The run game stopped. Marshawn Lynch wasn't the force that he was. Okay? He wasn't the force. Okay? Right? Wasn't that? Russell Wilson got bad. Russell Wilson didn't get bad. There was no run game. Your defense was good. Eagles took the Chiefs, or it's only right Eagles become the new chief dominant in the playoffs, and they dominate in the playoffs. Well, you're not going to dominate with that offense. Bro, you're not going to dominate anybody this year. The Philadelphia Eagles debut their new 2025 prevent offense. I'm going to ask Xander this when we get him on in the 3 o'clock hour. And I kind of broached this yesterday. What do you make of the fact that of the 16 games, you've played 12 one-score ball games this year? What do you make of that? 12 one-score games. What do you make of that? There's your margin of error. You have none. One turnover. You lose any one of those games. Okay? And what happened last season, Sue? They got into Super Bowl and got blown out because they couldn't move the sticks with their offense because an elite defense took them out. If a football team in the postseason this year has a great performance against Philly, you're losing. Do you not agree? Your offense automatically is not going to – your offense is what it is. You're not going to get better. You're not going to flip a switch. There's not going to be anything like that. Your defense has momentum. Your offense lost it in Buffalo. Now, you could do what the Philly guys do and what Xander did yesterday. You can look at it glass half full and go, Sills, what do we have? One first down? I don't know if you even had one. Did you have one in the second half against Buffalo? And he had 16 yards of total offense and one. I don't think that's a wrong view. Sills, we won a game playing D-plus football on offense in the second half. Hey, the more and more I watch that game, the least blame I put on Hurts. I'm more now on the coaching staff. And more notably, I'm on the head coach. The head coach is the guy that, and again, people are going to, listen, here's what's going to happen this year. If Nick Sirianni wins the Super Bowl, he's going to validate his approach. If they get bounced, Nick Sirianni's going to face a ton of shit for his approach. I kind of like that. You're Ricky Bobby. If you ain't first, you're last. That's kind of what Nick's playing here. Okay? That's what he's doing. This guy's going to take a shitload of criticism. If that guy loses and gets bounced in the opening round, you're not going to look to Hurts. I'm not. Unless Jalen throws 4 picks and there's a player performance issue and he looks terrible. Because what I saw against Buffalo kind of validated a little bit what people really thought about how the brakes get put on that offense when you're talking about being consistent for 4 quarters of football. They just said this, we're stopping. We're going to play D. We're going to play special teams and field position. And what we're going to do is we're going to lean on our defense because our defense is the only part of the team that's got momentum right now. Right? They're the only part of the team that has momentum. He's gambling. I don't mind it. You know why? There's a great chance they're going to go 12-5. If you go 12-5, and like I said yesterday, 12-5 is just as good as 14-3, in my opinion. You got a tougher schedule. I'm more impressed with 12-5. 5 new starters on defense, on offense that can't get out of its own way, and you're 12-5 with a hard schedule. No back-to-backs. Psychotic schedule. I'm going to talk about the schedule here in a minute. Baker Tampa don't get enough scrutiny, thoughts? Dude, I'm not giving Baker Mayfield $50 million. And if Todd Bowles loses the South, he should be fired. How's that for you? Scrutiny? Well, if Bowles loses the South, he should be fired. He's a 500 freaking coach. Stops at the coach. He's 1-3 in playoffs. Okay, right now he's 500. Look at his record. And if you add the playoff record, he's underwater. Hey, man. Jason Light didn't do a very good job. Their general manager. Hey, can good coaches have bad years? Yeah. Can Good GMs like Jason Light have a bad year? Yeah. Two things can be true. Okay? Absolutely. I mean, they've lost like 7 of 8. It's time. Seals, if they draft that kid from Penn State in the first round, it will tell me they don't believe in Juergens or Dickerson. I don't care what they do. They've got to draft an offensive lineman in the first round. The Philadelphia Eagles need to address their O-line. Okay? They need more talent. 5th, 6th, and 7th rounders are not going to cut it. I know that you're looking to have the same magic that Vic Fangio has done on that defensive side of the football with Jeff Stoutland. Well, guess what, folks? If you keep giving him 5th, 6th, and 7th rounders, you're going to get 5th, 6th, and 7th rounder results. Not one of those football players from the drafts of the last 2 years have played. Think of the draft picks in the O-line in the last 2 years. Who's played? Any of them? Has any of those players played? Any of them? Has any of those players contributed that they've drafted in the last 2 rounds in the O-line? Like who? In the last 2 years? Who? You made a trade to go get the kid back from the Jags, Fred. What guy have you drafted in the last 2 years in the O-line that's played, Daz? I mean, you've drafted quite a few kids in the 5th and 6th, 7th rounds. I'm talking the last 2 years. Can you not hear me? Are you listening? Okay? Here, let's go here. Let's take a look at that the last 2 years. At Eagles draft. Year to year here. Let's see how many guys you've drafted in the last here. Let's go here now. Okay. Center, Drew Kendall. I haven't seen that kid. Miles Hinton. I haven't seen that guy. Cameron Williams. Where the hell is that guy? Here, another one. Trevor Keegan, not even on the team. Dylan McMahon, not even on the team. Tyler Steen, starter. Good. Here, Cam Juergens, toast. This goes back to 221 here. So they drafted, let me see here. How many old linemen have they drafted? 1, 2, 3. And Juergens is out of gas. So last year, in 2024, you drafted 1, 2 offensive linemen, and you drafted this past year, you drafted 1, 2, 3. So you drafted 5 guys, and none of them have panned out to do shit for you. You need to get some players in here because, like you had with Cam Juergens, when you had Jason Kelsey retired, you had somebody in the waitings. There's nobody on that football team right now that is going to take the place of Lane Johnson when he retires. That's a weak group of people right now. I want to see Lampkin. Dude, if Lampkin could play, they would have put him in. 2 years is a bad sample size, being that we drafted O-line already and we focused on defense the last 2 years. You're moving the goalpost. Okay, well, here, let's take a look at this. So you have a 7th-round offensive lineman. You have a 7th-round O-lineman at left tackle. You have a 2nd-rounder at left guard. You have a 2nd-rounder at center. You have a 3rd-rounder at right guard. And you have a 1st-round draft pick, I think it was the 5th pick, like 15 years ago with Andy Reid, I believe. Or no, with Chip Kelly. It goes that far back. You don't have one 1st-round draft choice on there. The majority of the times you've been getting 7th and 6th and 2nds and 3rds to play in your offensive line. And you've created that by getting guys in the second, third, and fourth rounds that have been able to be one of the best offensive lines in football. Well, where's your depth? And now it's starting to take its toll on the team. You're not deep. 2 years ago in 22, you were I think your second team offensive line could have mowed teams over. A year ago, your second team offensive line could have mowed teams over. I mean, sample size? Dude, Howie Roseman, he doesn't have a sample size on cornerbacks. You guys think he's a great selector of corners. Since when? Cooper DeJean and Q are the only two players in 25 years that he's been the director of personnel that he's drafted a corner that was worth the shit. Same at safety. You're making it sound like this guy's built all these great players on defense. Name me a freaking edge rusher that he's drafted. Every single edge rusher that he's brought in, they've brought in because they've not landed on a guy. They may have landed on Jalix now. Okay? Brandon Graham was back in Andy Reid's time. You got to go get Jalen Phillips because Nolan Smith isn't healthy enough to be able to play 17 ball games. Don't make it sound like you've had some history of drafting great. You haven't, especially on that side of the ball. Would you move Cam back to right guard and draft a center? That might be a great take because he was an alternate Pro Bowler at right guard. That might be a good take to move him back over there. Absolutely. That's not a bad take. Josh Sweat in 18. Okay. 25 years. Josh Sweat, I think he was in the 4th round. Okay. Name me a premium pick player that he's drafted in the first 2 rounds. That is a great edge rusher. I'll give you 3rd with Jalix. Jalix looks like a guy. That's one dude in 25 years. That's in a premium pick. It's not true. Care what you say. Look, like I said, go down the list of, and you know what? People will move. Talk about moving the goalpost. Here, let's take a look at your edge rushers you drafted. There's Jalix. I said, looks good. Edge. Let's see here. Nolan Smith can't stay healthy. Okay. Nolan Smith, I guess. Who else? I don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of him. He was a 4th rounder. Sharif Miller. There's Sweat in 18. Got it. Derek Barnett's not even on the team. He's down in Houston. Alex McAllister. Who's that? Brian Malek. Who's that? Taylor Hart. Who's that? Joe Kruger. Who's that? We're down to, I could keep going if you'd like. Vinny Curry. Who's that? Make it sound like you're drafting edge rushers. You're not. Would you consider moving back, picking up multiple day 2 picks? That's where Howie's good. Howie, I'll tell you what he really is great at, is on draft day when he gets down into the rounds 4, 5, and 6, he gets multiple picks that he uses during the year. Okay? Curry was good. Never heard of him. As a dominant player, I don't remember him. He was good. He was solid. Okay. He was solid. Okay, he was decent. Okay. No, Howie does a great job with those 4, 5, 6, and 7s. Because then when he gets into the following year, what he'll do is with those lower draft picks, he'll use them as collateral, and he'll go out and make picks like he did this year. I think it's brilliant. I never really saw that before. Curry was a vital piece in that. I don't remember him. But thanks. Hey, here, let me see here. Okay, let me go here. Okay, let me see here. see here. Okay. So Vinny Curry's time in Philly. Let's see. In 17, he had 3 sacks and 40 tackles. Not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. Had 1 year with 9. That's above average. That's an average. He's above average. He's a good player. Okay. That's not bad. Curry played 10 years with the Eagles. You never heard of him? No, because this guy's been a perennial backup. Dude, he's a backup type player. He's a backup player. So what? I'm talking about a skill set. Being a champion doesn't make you a great player. 53 guys are on a roster. So what are you trying to tell me? Britton Covey's a great player? You break. Yeah, solid player. Those look like solid numbers to me. Okay, I totally lost what the... He was better. What does that have to do with me? I don't think Sills watched Eagle football back. Dude, those are backup numbers. Let me move on. Okay. Let me ask you about the schedule this year. I'm not really a schedule guy. How much do you think the schedule played into the inconsistency of the way that the football team played? Especially offensively. No back-to-backs. Difficult. Let's see. Difficult in the fact that it was one of the toughest. It was one of the toughest schedules this year. Okay? You tell me, how much do you think that affected them? I agree with M. Reyes here. No home stretch is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I think that played a big role here. Okay? Bro. Okay, he was solid. Let me ask you this. Is Jalix Hunt better than the guy? My God. You missed the point. It's the schedule. It's the philosophy of the head coach. 2 things played a factor there. Unless we played 2 to 3 straight home playoff games. Tell you what, man, the only time you may get a decent stretch, you are in the playoffs here. Okay? No. You missed my point. Hey, Daz, you missed my point. No. I didn't say he wasn't a solid player. You're going to argue with me over freaking Vinny Curry. I proved my point. Hunt will be better in the future. Hunt has got a bright future ahead of him, barring any injuries. Bird's gearing up for another Super Bowl run. How can you say that with that offense? Okay? How can you say that? Come on, Sills. The Eagles are the only team from the last 4 teams in the playoffs last year that are going to the playoffs, plus overcoming a Super Bowl championship schedule. I think I said that. Thanks for being the parrot you are. QB runs are going to be all over the play calling on second downs. You think that's what they're going to do, right? I don't see it. I'm with you. Defense wins champions. Well, you're going to need to hold yourself to that because you have 0 offense. One of the great takes of the week that Xander had, you have taken advantage of, John doesn't want to admit that and want to address that ever. Every time Xander brings that up to him on Birds 365, he glazes over that. He is dead right, Xander. You know, you guys say this. Well, Buffalo doesn't have a very good run defense. Neither does Chicago. But what did those two teams have in common? They can run the football. That's what keeps them in games. The fact that they have a shitty defense was irrelevant against you. Why? Because they don't have to worry about having a shitty defense because you have a shitty offense. So when you're talking about the San Francisco 49ers, you know, it's funny. Xander keeps bringing up the 49ers. And the more he brings them up, listen, you know how you can tell what he's saying? The more he talks about the 49ers, the more he's buying into them. Because when you start to watch something and you're starting to see something, you're starting to buy into it. Then John will turn around and go, they can't stop anybody. John, you can't take advantage of that. You haven't all year. I just pointed out 12 games this year you played out of 16 heading into the final game, one-score games. That's who you are. What has happened here is when you guys keep bringing up, well, defense wins, you know what you're doing? You're trying to talk yourself into winning a championship with one side of the football. Last year, you had two sides. You had defense and you had a run game. Well, you have nothing on offense except the experienced quarterback with the inexperienced coaching staff. I know you're going to go, wait, Nick's been in the playoffs. Does that offense look like they know what they're doing with that offense? Do they really look like they know what they're doing? How many people here would go like this? The offensive coaches had a what grade this year? Hey, I'm kind of taking the bricks off of Hurts a bit here. Give me a grade on what you think the offensive coaches had this year. What do you think? Not Hurts, not the players. What do you think the offensive coaches? Give me a grade on what you think the offensive coaches did with that skill set and with that talent they had this year. Sue F. How good do you think they've been? D. Okay. A C minus. P for pathetic. See, this is wishful thinking. C minus. So between F and C minus. V for vanilla. It's embarrassing. Okay? Okay. Give me the grade on what you think the defensive coaches did this year. I say A plus. A plus. No? A plus. I think what they did by getting 5 new starters off the Super Bowl 10 months ago, that's an A plus. So, you had a coaching staff with lesser talent, theoretically. Had to make a trade, some free agents like Adoree Jackson, and young players, right? And great coaching. That's a job well done. How come the coaches couldn't connect on the offensive side? Anybody with an idea why? It's simple. It's the same guy at the top. It's Nick Sirianni. Those players are so talented on offense, their coach holds them back of greatness. They're winning games, but he makes their jobs harder. Their jobs shouldn't be this hard. He coaches like a rookie coach. He does. I don't believe my quarterback. I don't buy into my quarterback. I'll tell you what, if I was Jalen Hurts, I would be absolutely so pissed off that Nick Sirianni's my coach. I mean, really. You know what? I took away from that clip that I saw on Hard Knocks with him and Scott Loeffler, the quarterback coach. What I thought I heard was, hey, we got to get this thing going. I thought to me, when I saw Jalen look over, you know what my takeaway was? Well, open up the damn playbook. Don't be so conservative. You want to get it going? Well, let's go. That's how I took that. I think Jalen looked right back at him going, don't put this on players when you're calling 5 plays in the second half. How is Jalen Hurts supposed to get the offense going when you give them 10, 15 plays to run in the second half? What, you don't think those coordinators on the other side of the football know that? And Nick's philosophy and what he's doing? Hey, they're going to shut it down. Make sure you keep them in the box. Make sure you win on first and second down, flood the lanes. Don't let Barkley get going. And guess what? They don't trust their quarterback to throw the ball in the rain. What kind of coach is that in the NFL? I don't blame Hurts one bit. I don't blame him at all. That guy makes their job harder. And once again, too, in the presser today, Nick thanked everybody from Howie Roseman to the assistant coaches. He didn't thank Vic. I heard this. We have good position coaches. We have Howie Roseman. We got to thank him for putting the players in there. I didn't hear one thing about Vic. I didn't hear Vic's name mentioned. I heard everybody else. We got really great position coaches. Leads you to believe that he made those hires. And then when somebody actually brought up the fact that he's never really coached defense, he goes, I've coached defense. I was like, oh, really? Here in Philly? That'd be a first. You mean to tell me you think you have influence over that defense? I don't think so, watching the way you have your influence over that offense. That's not true. What, you think Nick gets in the way of Vic during play calling and situational play calling when he's trying to navigate around keeping Josh Allen in tow? You think he jumps on the horn and tells Vic we might want to go here like he does with the coordinator that you have with Kevin Patullo? How many people believe that? You'd be an idiot to believe that. He gets in the way of Vic Fangio when Vic is up there by him. Why do you think Vic's by himself upstairs and not down on the sideline? So he doesn't have to hear Nick's shit. He's up there by himself. Well, you guys think that Nick jumps in and goes, we should run a cover 2 here? You know he gets in the way of Patullo. We should do this. He even said it. I got to do a better job at helping Kevin Patullo. You think he makes that call when it comes to Vic Fangio? I got to help Vic out more. What? Are you kidding me? He'd tell him, it would be like Buddy Ryan. Hey, Mike Ditka, get the hell out of here. Are you crazy? When they go to his shots and they show Vic in the corner there by himself, he's got one piece of paper in front of him. He's got his hand over his head. He's watching the guys. This guy's not reading off an analytic page. This guy's sitting there watching what he's seeing in front of him, what they're trying to do schematically, offensively. And he's trying to dissect it there. You think that guy's in his ear going, hey, Vic, I think we maybe want to play a banjo cover 2 here. What are you, crazy? You know he goes over to Kevin Patullo and offers up plays. There lies the confusion. Too many roosters in the hen house. Too many roosters in the hen house. Get the fuck out of here. Did he really say that? He said he coached defense? Yeah, at the presser today. He goes, I have coached defense. Not this one. I'm not saying the Philly one. But he says he has. I'm like, yeah, where? Let me guess. Fork Union. Or wherever the hell he's from. Seals, did the Eagles face tougher offenses or tougher defenses in 25? I think they faced tougher defensive coaches in 25. It's a great question. Let me go here with you. Here, let me take a look at this. It's a good question. It's a great question. Okay, Matt Eberflus early. Both games with Dallas, it was a split, and it was one score in both. Eberflus did a nice job. Spagnuolo, Chris Shula, Todd Bowles, Vance Joseph, Brian Flores, the guy in Green Bay. Kevin Allen. Is that his name? I'm thinking the guy who was the head coach of the Saints in Chicago. The coordinator that came from Michigan, who's now there with Harbaugh in the Chargers. Okay, I mean, you've played some pretty good coordinators this year. Been some pretty good ones. Yeah, Dennis Allen. You played some pretty good coordinators. Okay? Let's see here. Cowboy Vic isn't a real person. Let's see here. Feels like a football Friday. It sure does, man, because I got my Canes tonight. We got the semifinals tonight. We also have them tomorrow on New Year's. I love this time of the season here when you got bowl games, New Year's Day bowl games. You got the Rose Bowl, Orange tomorrow. I loved all that when I played in college. Let's see. My bowl games I played in were the Citrus Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Orange Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl. Big Sills only plays on New Year's. Remember that. Still, Shane Steichen gets fired. He's not getting fired. He's not. Sills, what's your opinion on how the offense will approach the playoffs? Same way, dude. Okay? Same way. They're not going to change any other way. Why in the world would they start doing something different? That's how you become Marty Schottenheimer. You know, one of the coolest things in my broadcasting career is that I got a chance to talk to John Wooden. And I became friends with John Wooden, the UCLA legend. And John Wooden told me, whether it's the opener versus the Washington Huskies or the final game versus the Kentucky Wildcats for a national title, I never did anything different. Players get used to routines. At 3:15 at practice, we did this drill. At 3:20, we did this drill. At 3:45, we did this drill. At 4 o'clock, we did this drill. That's how you win. Adding bullshit to something that you've not done to get you where. Do you think the Philadelphia Eagles changed their approach in any way last year in playoffs? They ran the football. And they situationally threw the ball. Last year, that's the difference in the passing attack. Last year, the passing attack was situational because the offense was run by a running game. This year, you don't have situational play. You're calling more on the passing game to get you out of trouble, and it's not really done that. Per Jeff Curry, Eagles expected to rest Hurts and most starters for Week 18 versus Washington. Okay? So obviously the second or third seed doesn't really matter. Now, they're going to know a little bit more on Seattle and San Francisco with that game because that game's on Saturday. Okay? So they're looking for rest instead of reps. Okay? You know, it's always a gamble. It's my problem is I don't mind resting my defense. Your offense has been atrocious this year. It's underachieved. It's been undercoached. I mean, let me say this. You didn't get your value, your dollar this year with your offense. I mean, not near. Hey, when people go Sills, they got almost 1,000-yard wide receivers. Yeah, because nobody else catches the ball. It's so predictable. Devontae and AJ. Quarterback doesn't spread it around. It's because they don't have a spread offense. You think the Eagles run a spread offense? Based off of what? 2 guys? A spread offense is 9 different players that the quarterback will hit. And a quarterback like a Justin Herbert or a Josh Allen, he doesn't need receivers with over 700-800 yards on their team to win ball games. It's more of a chess game when you play those guys. Whoever is hot that day in Buffalo, Los Angeles, Kansas City is going to get the football. In Philly, you know where it's going. YZ, sometimes tight end. YZ, sometimes tight end. You have no check down game. I mean, you have no screen game, really. Nothing. It's the same Schmitty can't get his 1K yards. Well, listen, if you're going to hold out the running back a year ago from going for an all-time record, which he would have gotten, you're holding him out too. I mean, can you imagine Saquon Barkley if you saw Devontae Smith play this weekend and they allowed him to get that 1K? I'd be like this if I was Barkley. Wait a minute. I could have broke a record that is one of the most hallowed records, 2105, that Eric Dickerson had, and you're holding me out? Okay. What's that about? Dan Quinn looking for cheap shots for us, going for the 2-point conversion. I think that's bullshit stuff that Dan Quinn's saying. He's making things up to try to fire his players up because they have nothing to play for. Going for the 2-point conversion, there were many things still in line for the Eagles at that time in that Washington game 1. It's an absolutely asshole comment by Dan Quinn. If Dan Quinn really thinks that, and he knows better, you think Nick Sirianni's really looking to run a score up? One thing, he may be a jerk, but I haven't seen that where he and trying to embarrass other coaches. Based on what? Like where? Like I said, he's a tool sometimes. That's not one of them. It's a stupid comment by Dan Quinn. And he's just trying to fire his guys up. Okay? Giants halfback got hurt. That's when their season tanked. Dan Quinn knows his team is a 4-win team. Yeah, he's trying to fire him up. Okay? I didn't call it fake news. I just don't believe in targeting an entire group for actions of a few. Not sure where you're going with that. I'm not sure what you're talking about. My bad. Cooper has been our 3 as of late. You've had 35 receptions all year long in the 3-hole. I pointed that out to you. 35 catches in 16 ball games. You think that's high volume? As a matter of fact, how many targets have you had at that position this year? So here's your targets for your number 3 receiver. There's 28 targets. Smitty's had 109, and AJ's had 121, and Goddard 82. Barkley's had more targets than your number 3 receiver, 28. Cooper, 6. Mechie, 4. Here's your total. 9, 30, 1, 2, 3. You've had 38 targets this year at wide receiver 3. Tell me you got a guy that you're throwing the ball to at number 3. The running back has more targets. You've had 34 targets the entire year at wide receiver 3. You don't throw there. If I'm a D coordinator, I know you're not looking to throw anywhere near that guy. I can't believe the Eagles don't use that more. Or at least move AJ around or Devontae around more. YZ, sometimes tight end. YZ, sometimes tight end. Roll right. That's not on Hurts. That's the offensive philosophy. Our 3rd and 4th wide receivers have been a combined 30 catches. That's around. Yeah, well, that's been standard in the Sirianni era. Or I should say the Hurts era. You're never over 35. It's between 35 and 38 catches every year from the 3 wide receiver spot. It's like you're playing with 10 guys. You get very little production out of that. Okay? Seals, they drafted Cam and Landon, who were both primarily centers in college. Is that a Howie strategy to draft centers and play them at guard? I don't know if that's a Howie's. You mean Jeff Stoutland's? Howie. No, I'm not thinking it's Howie. That's probably a Stoutland mentality. When it comes to picking talent on offensive line, you think it's Howie? Really? I'm going to lean on Stoutland on that. That's probably a philosophy from him. Okay? Seals, what do you think of Eli Reardon? I think his name is the tight end from Notre Dame to replace Goddard. You see where that guy is projected on my draft board here. They need to draft a tight end. I'll tell you what, that kid Fanning in Cleveland, he looks pretty good. He looks good. If you, Stout's evaluation of those two dudes bit him in the ass. I don't think so. They're just not here for a long time. Hey, dude, they've been really good players, just not this year. Landon Dickerson has been a great player. Cam has been a great player, not this year. They've gotten killed because of whatever, injuries. Hey, listen, injuries are part of it. Ask Nolan Smith. Ask Nakobe Dean. You've got 4 players on your football team that you got to have a come-to-Jesus conversation to in the offseason. Is Landon and Cam going to recover? Okay? Is Nakobe Dean going to recover? And is Nolan Smith good enough to play here for the next 4 years without being injured? Those 4 players right now are injury issues. It's not whether or not nobody's debating ability. They're debating availability. And you know how we know that that's a big conversation? You just asked Dallas Goedert to take a pay cut because of availability. You made him take a $4.5 million pay cut. So if you told Dallas Goedert to take a $4.5 million pay cut, you think Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Landon Dickerson, and Cam Jurgens are safe because of their injuries? No way. I mean, you have to address that. But again, the sorry thing about that conversation is it's got nothing to do with ability. Nothing. Hey, listen, Nolan's a decent player. I never thought he was the line that I gave you, I never thought he was a 17-game NFL football player. That's a fact. Same with Nakobe. He's not a 17-game NFL football player. Those are all true things about the players. Since day one, I said that. And since day one, they've been that. I'll tell you somebody that I'm shocked how good a football player he is. I'll tell you this, man. That kid that was on this football team a year ago, boy, man, I didn't realize he was this good. What's his name? Kenny Gainwell? Pittsburgh? Boy, I'd sure like to have somebody like that on that off. No, wait a minute. Now I know why he left. Because they couldn't utilize the skill set of Kenny Gainwell. Look at Kenny Gainwell with a decent passing quarterback using his skill set. Throw the ball to him, runs the ball. 109 carries, he has 527 yards. Not even as the feature back. 100 carries. Saquon Barkley's got 400 more yards than him, 479 more yards than him, and 180 more carries than Kenny Gainwell. Ask yourself that. Kenny Gainwell has 100 carries, 109. Barkley's got 280 with 1,003. This guy's got 527 yards rushing, 480 carry with 100 carries. He had a better season running the ball than Barkley. And had 65 catches for 422. This guy theoretically, and he's going to play against the Ravens, he's going to have 1,000 yards, from scrimmage and not being a starter. It's the offense. It's the quarterback. Wait a minute. It's the offense? Who's their receivers outside of DK Metcalf? Name me one. I can't. Can't name you one. Gainwell's had a great year in a great system that fits his skill set. He was so out of place in Philly. Now that you see that guy, he's kind of like he's not as big as Sproles, obviously, but he's like that guy, Austin Eckler kind of guy. Going to catch the ball for about 500-600, or going to run the ball for about 500-600 yards. Going to catch about 70 catches for you. Those guys are valuable in spread offenses. He's kind of cheap man's version of Christian McCaffrey. Not quite as electric. You could never fit that kind of player here in Philly. Like Christian McCaffrey would fail miserably in Philly. Hurts can't throw him the ball. Would you say the way BG and Phillips have been able to suffer injuries, but work their tail off to come back, gives guys like Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith the blueprint on coming back on being productive? I think it's a good take, but I do think this. I think certain bodies are made to take the pain and take the punishment, and I think there's certain bodies that it just aren't made for taking the longevity of the NFL hits. That happens in quarterbacks. It happens in running backs. That happens in O-linemen, defensive linemen. Like the guy, Kalijah Cansey for the Buccaneers. They drafted out of Pitt. That guy's missed 24 football games since he's been drafted. Half of his career he's missed because of injuries. He's just not built for the NFL. He's just not. Yeah, he's just not. Gainville is not that guy. He's okay. Oh, he's not that guy. Okay. He's not that guy. He's not what guy? So when a guy produces this, you're saying he's not that guy. Based off of what? Your opinion versus reality? So when you say he's not that guy, well, that's what he's done this year. 5 yards a carry, 500-something yards rushing. You give him another 180 yards carries, he's got 1,000-yard back. And he had 70 catches almost. He had 65 catches. He's not that guy. Well, who the fuck is that? Then who is that got those numbers? Tank is better? Okay, Tank is better. I'm telling you that Kenny Gainwell, give him another 180 yards, he would have the same rushing yards as Saquon Barkley. Barkley had 1,000 yards this year with almost 200 more carries. I mean, does Pittsburgh have a better O-line than you? Maybe it's the quarterback. Got it. Maybe it's the system. Got it. Seals Gainwell has 500 rushing and 400 receiving as the number 2 running back. Yeah, 480 carry with 100 carries. Think of that. Barkley's got 280. Gainwell's got 100. And he's got 527 on 100 carries. Do the math. I mean, he's in a better system that fit his skill. Okay? Sills has faith Gain will be able to handle 180 more carries. It's not what I said. I said the offense fits his skill set better. Not in Philly. Missed the point. Again. He's not a feature one. Who said he's a feature one? This guy can't listen very well. Barkley said, Kenny G is stronger than me. Don't forget that. Yeah, well, again, one thing that Senorita's right on. I mean, who's to sit there and say he's going to be able to carry 200 carries? Now, I don't know. Maybe he's done that in his past. In Philly, I don't think so. But do you think resting the starters for the last game of the year is anyway a team decision or mainly a decision of the coaching staff? That's above Nick. That goes to preseason and how they approach the preseason. Let me ask you guys something. So if they don't play preseason football, and if the last game of the year doesn't matter, who in their right mind would think they were going to play? They don't value the last game of the year, and they don't value preseason. That's been a staple of the Nick Sirianni era. I mean, that's what they've done. Happy New Year's to you and your family, Sills. Good luck to your Canes tonight. I'll be rooting for them. Channel will continue to grow through the big 2026, and we appreciate that, and so do I. And it's going to be a tough game tonight. Got to be low scoring for the Canes to win. If it's a high-scoring game, Ohio State could blow them out tonight. Sills, which running back earns their spot in 26 in the final game of the year? Shipley, Tank, or Dillon? Well, I'd like to see Tank and Shipley back there. And I'd like to see Tank and Shipley back there. Why? I want to see how McKee uses them. If you do see a dump-off game, I guarantee you what you're going to see a completely different. You know what? Now, here's something to keep an eye on. The coaches have to be cognizant of this. All of a sudden, Kevin Patullo opens up the offense in the final game of the year, and you're throwing the ball to backs, tight ends, spreading it around. They're going to go like this in your play calling philosophy. I get it. So you're telling me in a game that potentially you could have like maneuvered around with either the second or third seed in the playoffs. You put a quarterback in there and he looks like that and he spreads it around. God forbid that guy spreads the ball around and there's like 9 different guys that touch the football. You wait till Monday. It won't be the fact that they'll be saying this, bench Hurts for Tanner McKee. That won't be the conversation. You know what will be the conversation? Why can't Hurts do that? Or why don't you do that with Jalen? So they're not going to open it up tonight. They're not going to open it up on Sunday. You know why? They'd rather lose that game than have that narrative Monday. Guarantee you. They would rather lose that game on Sunday than to hear this. Well, why is Kevin Patullo opening up the offense and they're spreading it around? Why doesn't he call the same kind of game for Jalen Hurts? Isn't this kind of like a pregame or like a dress rehearsal for the playoffs? Why hasn't he done that all year? No way will that coaching staff or that organization want to hear that rhetoric for the next 5 days starting on Monday. No way. They would rather lose that game. Okay? Can you imagine? Okay? Can you imagine? He throws for those 3 touchdowns, and he has 9 different targets, and he has a check down game, and he has a screen game going, and Shipley goes for 80 yards, and Tank goes for 90 yards, and what's his name? Dotson gets 120 yards receiving. People are going to go like this. Well, it's not start Tanner McKee. Why can't you call the same kind of approach for him? Well, that game doesn't matter. Oh, wait a minute. So you call a better game that doesn't matter, and a game that does matter, you use 15 plays. Okay, got you. We'll see how that plays out. If you win on Sunday, you lose on Monday. Remember I said that. If you win convincingly on Sunday, you will lose on Monday. You wait. Instead of talking about getting ready for the playoffs, Rams or whomever, San Francisco, on Saturday, you will lose because there'll be some people. WIP was the people that were saying, hey, you want to know what a stupid fucking take is, dickhead? Bench Hurts. That's your local that's your local TV and that's your local radio stations. Nobody on JAKIB at all, at any time this year, uttered those phrases. People in your market did. Not here. McMullen did it. Xander did it. And I surely didn't. Nobody did. Bench Hurts. That's one thing we've been consistent on. Nobody ever said that. Nobody. Because they know, get this, that's not realistic. Okay? I just really hate Petulo's grasp of the game. No. You mean you hate Jalen Hurts' grasp for the game? I hate Nick's little offense he copied from Frank Wright's notebook while he was taking a lunch break here. Philly. Jalen has bought into this. He doesn't complain. And if he does complain, everyone in Philadelphia has to walk it back on Wednesday because some of the stuff that they say. I mean, he never, ever complains about the offense. Have you ever heard Jalen Hurts complaining this year about the offense? Have you? A quarterback who didn't complete a pass in 2 games in the second half in Tampa Bay and in Buffalo, and he never complained. Okay? I've never heard that before. Have you? I can't think of Dan Marino ever had a game in his entire life where he had a half where he didn't complete a pass. Tom Brady. Shit, has Drake May even had that in his early part of his career? Side note, Denver Broncos have won 12 one-score games this season, too. Do you believe in them? No. Do you? With Bo Nix? No. You answered your own question. Do I believe in Denver? New England? No. Here. Sills, you believe in Denver, New England, the first 2 seeds in the AFC? No. Do you believe in the Jags? Kind of. Do you believe in the Texans? Kind of. Do you believe in the Chargers? Kind of. Do you believe in the Bills? Kind of. Anybody on that AFC side? I don't know who comes out. It could be the Chargers. I don't know. Well, I don't trust their tackles. Well, I don't know. You don't trust their tackles. Okay. Well, you don't trust their tackles. They beat the Eagles without those tackles. Isn't that crazy? You hear people in Philadelphia on the radio go like this. I don't trust their tackles. They've lost them. Well, they beat you without them. It's like that stuff doesn't apply to you. You know? Like that shit doesn't apply to you. Well, I don't trust them. Well, I beat you without them tackles. Unless I missed something. Right? Unless I missed it. Get this. Dan Marino once threw 24 touchdowns and 22 interceptions. Stop with the revisionist history. You're right. Hurts is better than Dan fucking Marino. Dude, Dan Marino invented the spread game that you see today, basically, and how back approaches it. Dan Marino is one of the greatest, if not the greatest passer in pro football history. Revisionist history? Nobody debates that. Nobody. You want to hear something else that will put into Daz's brain? He had one 1,000-yard rusher in 18 years of quarterbacking in Miami. One running back ran for $1,000. In his 17 years, he did that without an entire running attack. So as you said the question, are you going to ask if Tanner throws the ball all over the yard? Do you think that has implications for next year? No. You got a no-trade quarterback. No. There's no. The only time you're going to have a question whether or not you're going to want to continue with the style. Get this. Let me ask you guys this. Do you believe this narrative will ever go away with Jalen Hurts in the offense as long as he's in Philadelphia? Yes or no? Okay? Do you guys believe it? No matter what he does this year, do you believe that this will go away? It has followed him since Alabama. Do you believe this will go away? Do you? It'll never go away. This will never go away. Okay? If Tanner throws the ball all over the yard, he might fool some teams into giving a fourth-round pick for him. Why would he have to fool? Kellen Moore already tried for a third-round pick for him at the beginning of the year, and Howie said no. Sills, as a former player, has your coach ever rested your starters to rest for the playoffs? If so, what effect did it have on the team and on you? Never. Jimmy never rested players. As a matter of fact, Jimmy had harder practices. And we should get Butch Davis on because Butch was a coordinator on those Super Bowl teams too, along with Dave Wannstedt. Here was something that you should know. Do you know that during the year, now you can't do this anymore, but during that Cowboy dynasty, Dave Wannstedt and Butch Davis, who coached me at the University of Miami and my short time in Dallas, told me this. They had harder practices post-Halloween, and they played the run and practiced the run harder. And you know what it showed? They had less yards per carry in harder scrimmages throughout the year and through the rest of the season than when they pulled off the prior year. They had more yards per carry. The harder they worked, the less yards per carry they had as they went all the way through to the final game of the year. The more they laid off, the more the defense softens. That was their approach. And that's why those Cowboy defenses had to be young. They were the youngest defense in pro football when they won the first of 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. You have to have young players. You can't have older players. See, to me, I think what's happened also to the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, they don't practice hard enough. As they've gotten older throughout the year, they've lost their point of attack. They don't win at the point of attack anymore. And it's taken its toll. The long seasons, the long extra seasons, and the ability not to have contact during the year, that's why you're seeing less yards per carry for these players. They're not working hard enough. Get this. Yeah, no injuries, and the offensive line is brutal. So get this. You got a healthy, horrible line. Congratulations, Daz. Look at Daz's philosophy. No, it's injuries? Well, how'd they get hurt? They don't practice. They don't have contact practices in Philadelphia with their O-line. Okay, well, how'd they get unhealthy? How'd they get hurt? They don't practice. They don't have full contact practices. How'd they get hurt? A year ago? So what? Team doctors didn't take care of them? Okay. They never recovered from a year ago? Okay. When did they get hurt? When did they get hurt this year? I don't remember Cam getting hurt in a game. Just carry over from a year ago? Okay. Okay, that's last year. He had that surgery right after the Super Bowl. Okay? Okay? Hey, by the way, when a guy gets beat one-on-one, what's that got to do with your back? Pass protection hasn't been a problem. Run offense has been a problem. Daz, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. None. Dickerson got hurt in the fans' open practice, I think. Okay. This is one of those years where it's a defense that carries the team to the Super Bowl. How about this? Okay, well, good luck to him. Okay. Let me see something here. Let's see if I got my boy here. Let's see here. Yep, Mark's good there, man. So Z, yes. He's good. All right. So listen, guys. Xander Krause is giving Big Sills an early Christmas or a birthday present. I get to watch my Canes tonight. Okay, so this is like an early Christmas present. We're probably going to do something tomorrow just for a little bit, me and him tomorrow. Because you know what? Me and him we don't take days off, Junior. That's not what this is here, man. All right. Now, what I really loved today when I was listening to the show, I heard a dog barking behind Z. And I was like, yeah, it's not just my boy Stevie. I felt good. So we got a whole house. And by the way, Big Sills wants to wish the Krauses an entire happy holidays and also a happy new year to everybody there. And I know they put the show on and they watch it. We appreciate all of you. And we appreciate the Krauses very much. So without further ado, one of my guys here, one of my favorite people, he is Big Z. Big Z joins us now. We'll have Battle Royale coming up at the top of the hour. How you doing, bro?
What's up, Sills? How you doing, brother? Is my mic all right? Hopefully my mic's all right.
Yeah, got you good, Junior. You're all good, man.
How you living, brother? Good?
Good, I'm good, man. Give me a headline for the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles season this year as we wrap up the regular season. And it looks like they're not going to play their guys in the final. So you tell me, if you were to give a headline on the JAKIB newspaper and put it right there at the very top, what would that headline be?
Let me create. Let me think. The year of the hunted.
The year of the hunted. Let me give you some more here. Vic does it again.
Hunted this year, Sills.
Vic does it again.
It's a good one.
Eagles' young defense matures.
I know you're not going to give anything to the offense.
No. Nick played it safe. Barkley stinks.
Come on.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you one thing I've learned here about this football team this week, and I've had an epiphany. Dude, this is more so on the coaching. This is more so on approach. I'm kind of taking some of the bricks off of Hurts's back here, dude. I really am.
It does seem like the setup is tough to consistently thrive in. But, you know, the other part of that, though, is like that's kind of the personality of the coach. In a way, the quarterback, you know, who can at times be a very inconsistent player. You know, it's a weird team, Sills, but I think all things considered, you know, I think they've had a pretty successful year, man. First schedule, you know, first place schedule, no back-to-back home games. You're on the road. You remember, you know, you always talk about routine for NFL players.
Yeah.
They all want to play Sunday at 1. You know,
right.
The Eagles had Sunday games, Monday games, Thursday games, Friday game. I mean, it felt like they played on almost every day of the week this year. You know, they had the Black Friday game. They
felt like the COVID year.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're playing all over the place. So I think all things considered, I think the Eagles have handled the adversity of the year well. Is their output as good as you want? It's definitely not there. But, you know, you have a chance at a 2 seed in the postseason. You're going to have a playoff game at the Link, maybe 2 playoff games at the Link. I think you're in a pretty good spot with where they are right now. Now the question will be, how do they handle the gauntlet of the playoffs? Because I think it's a gauntlet for every team. You look at every team. Every team has a tough first round matchup for where they are. The Eagles, while they might be the defending champs, they've had their problems this year. The Rams at times have looked dominant. They've faltered. Now they have a
Last
round
3 weeks.
Right. You have the Bears. Now, you would think the Bears are much better than the Packers, but that's a divisional matchup against two teams where, let's call a spade a spade. If Jordan Love doesn't get hurt a couple weeks ago, the Packers win that football game. So, I think everybody kind of has a tough playoff schedule because the parity in the NFC is so close. So, if the Eagles can put together some good games, man, they'll be in Santa Clara.
So the offense, though, again, you're and I hear you. You think that they're going into the playoffs with great momentum. The defense, the offense is not going in with any momentum whatsoever. None. Or do you think there is momentum?
No, I don't think there's momentum, but I think it's almost like, sometimes the opposite of momentum is a negative, where it's like momentum in the wrong way. It feels like they're just riding here. Like there's no great momentum, but there's also no great, concern at this point. And maybe not concern is the right word. I don't know what the right word is there, but it feels like they're just kind of riding in the middle, and if they can make some plays, then, that momentum will return quick. But they haven't done enough consistently, Sills, to have, a great sense of confidence or momentum. I'm sure you saw that Hard Knocks clip that's floating around.
Did.
Yeah, you can see. Now, I don't know if John interpreted that right. It didn't sound like Jalen said anything back to Leffler. Yeah, it sounded like he agreed with them. They know they got to get it going. They know that they're not playing up to snuff and up to.
I took it where Jalen was more like, "We'll open the playbook up." That's how I kind of saw it. Like,
yeah, here's the problem.
I saw it more with Jalen going, "Hey, we got to get this thing going." Jalen goes, "All right, well, we have to get it open." I thought it meant
I don't like that mentality. Yeah. He's got a hand in it too. He's got a hand in it. He does. Too. So let's see. But I think he knows. I think they all know. At the end of the day, it becomes more clear, though, I think, to everybody, and even you. Because you'll criticize. Obviously, everybody knows you'll criticize Hurts, but it's become more clear that this is the approach of the team, and this is why you heard AJ Brown earlier bitching. This is why Devontae Smith at times. Everybody who plays on the offense, including the quarterback, I think at times gets frustrated with the style of offense they're trying to play. But I think at the end of the day, the coach is right in that. Look at the numbers, man. We're 41-2 when we win the turnover battle, whatever it is. So I think that's where he's going off of. And even if it creates a little bit of angst, or it's not exactly what you want to do, in a way, all the players are kind of sacrificing what they want to do or what they believe is best for what has been statistically the best thing for the team to do.
What I do want to point out to people, and I want to be as transparent here, I've backed off of Hurts not having a good game in Buffalo. I've backed off that because I saw drops, bad calls, and bad play calling. And there were more of that on that instead of his side of the aisle in that Buffalo game. That's, again, when you watch it 2-3 times, you come away going like this. Yeah, there were a couple drops. There were some shitty calls by the refs, which have been normal all year long. There were more bad play calls with the zone read runs, but were stupid at times. 3rd and 8, I saw the play 3 times. I'm like, why did you shut the offense down? So, not saying he was perfect because he's become too predictable in the way that he rolls, but I backed that up a little bit, man. I did. I backed it up, and I thought it was more on Nick. Now let me go here with Nick, and I brought this up earlier. For a guy that has so much so-called experience in the postseason, how come Vic Fangio's guys have momentum going into the playoffs, getting better? And the offensive side has sputtered.
Because the defense has better coaches at every level.
Okay. So you just said it. They have better coaches on that side and they have lesser talent and younger talent, whatever you want to use,
Well,
on
it's
that
also,
side. Nobody's a first team outside of Bond, Carter, and Q, and what's his name. There's 4 out of 11. You could throw Davis in there. I don't care. On the other side, you got 2 $30 million offensive tackles. You got $50 million in wideouts. You got a $14 million, $10 million wide receiver. You got a $20 million running back. And you're telling me you got lesser coaches on that side of the ball than you go on the defensive side?
yeah, but this is the one difference. This is the one difference. Offensive football and defensive football are obviously 2 very different things. But when you're the defense, there's no one player where everything is built around in the same way a quarterback is. Like when you have a quarterback on offense, he touches the ball every play. He's the facilitator of the offense. That you don't really have that on defense. So this is where I don't think. Well, I do think the coaching is lesser.
You think it's tougher to coach offense than defense?
No, I'm not saying that. I think it's a different setup. I don't think you can view all defensive coaching and the players in the same light. Whereas offense, it's a lot more dictated by one player. I mean,
Okay.
I want to read to you something.
So one thing on that. So one player on defense can wreck a play, right? Can wreck a play.
Can wreck a play, yeah.
Okay. One person on offense can wreck the entire scheme of the play. Is that what you're saying? Like if an offensive lineman misses his block, the play's dead. They've all got to be perfect, correct, on that side of the ball. 10 guys could get blocked on defense, right? Okay, read what you're going to read to me.
I'm trying to find it. But it was a quote, and I'm going to find it here, from Kyle Shanahan on Brock Purdy. I'm not sure if you've seen this quote. It was a few years ago when Brock Purdy played in the Super Bowl. And it was basically them asking him about him being a game manager. And here it is. It's pretty long, but I'm going to read it to you. This is Kyle Shanahan talking about Brock Purdy. And this is what I mean about why offense is different. So, when Brock Purdy got labeled a game manager, this was Kyle Shanahan's response. I don't get how being a system quarterback and a game manager is a negative. The job of a quarterback is to manage the game and is to run the system. The system is what you run all week. That's what the O-line works on. That's what your 5 eligibles work on. That's everything. And your quarterback, if you want to be great, you better be able to run that system and you better be able to manage the game. But if you want to stay in that position, no system is going to be perfect. There's going to be times when you have no answers. And if you want to stay there, you better make some plays. And that's how you become a consistent quarterback. You're a game manager. You can run the system right and you can make plays. If you don't have those 3 things, it's a matter of time. 1 game, 2 games, 2 years, it's a matter of time. Brock does all of those things, so I don't get what we're talking about. The interesting thing about that, though, I think, is you look at what a guy like Kyle, who is arguably one of the best offensive minds in the game today, how he views the quarterback position. System quarterback should be the first thing you are, not playmaker. Playmaking comes later. You better be able to run our system perfectly, before you talk about the stuff after the fact. And that's where I think, how it relates to our conversation about coaching is systems and offense are created around the quarterback. Whereas on defense, yes, it's created around certain players, but you got the defensive line, you got the linebackers, you got it's a different unit. You know what I'm saying? There's no one central piece like there is on offense. And maybe it is harder, but I do think that overall the coaching is just not as good on offense. And, maybe Jalen's style of play where he's not a game manager. That's not Jalen's game. Jalen's a playmaker, like, I just talked about. Okay. So maybe that is a little harder to build an offense around.
Okay. To go along your line and Kyle Shanahan's line then, do you believe that without any changes then to the style of play that they like in Philly, you think Joe Burrow could run that offense in Philadelphia the same way that they run it for Hurts?
Well,
That's their system.
You don't think they'd run it? Do you think they'd run it for Joe?
No way. They would completely revamp it.
Well,
they would revamp it. They would revamp it to his skill set.
And in a way, that's good coaching, no? I mean, you want them to revamp it. You don't want them to build
Then how can a guy have one system and then all of a sudden you would rip that system up and create another one to the player's skill set? So when a guy says he's a system quarterback, I always say this: there's 32 different systems in the NFL right now that are all different, and I think they're both. I think that they're those boutique type systems where Jalen has this type of way of playing. Josh Allen's not going to play that way. Drake May's not going to come into Philly and play like that. They would completely change the entire offense. Look at what Shane Steichen did in Indianapolis. You think he got away from all those RPOs that he was running with Daniel Jones when Phillip Rivers got in there at 44? They weren't running the same system. Right. They were running a completely different system. Do you not agree?
No, I do.
So to me, I think it's really I think coordinators change. I don't think it's a plug and play thing. Like what Kyle's saying. I think Kyle looks for a certain style of play. A Matt Ryan that he had in Atlanta. Ryan,
and it's evidence he didn't care about 4 first-round picks when he moved on from Trey Lance. He didn't even play.
I don't know where that came from because get this.
That's why I never thought it was Kyle.
I think you're probably right then.
Think about it.
Because that got away from every kind of guy he's ever coached.
Right. He's never been interested in dual threat.
Never been interested in that. Dude, he brought Mac Jones. He brought Mac Jones and Sam Darnold. And they have
Mac Jones, like Sam Darnold, Jimmy Garoppolo. He wants the dude that plays his system. He doesn't want the playmaking guy. I think that was John Lynch looking at the trend of the league and looking for their prize. And I don't think they obviously didn't get it. But, it is interesting, though. Did you hear what Nick Sirianni said today about Tanner McKee's skills or his strengths?
No. I missed that because I listened to a lot of it.
So they asked him about Tanner McKee. And I just find the Eagles, like the setup that they use, I find it interesting. I don't really know why the Eagles do this. They build with 2 completely different types of players. So Nick Sirianni got asked about Tanner McKee's strengths. This is what he said. Tanner McKee's strengths are reading defenses and knowing where to go with the football. Isn't that kind of the opposite of what the skill set of Hurts is?
Completely. As a matter of fact, I've never heard Nick Sirianni ever use that line for his strengths of Hurts.
Never. Because that's not really Hurts' strength. Hurts is an amazing playmaker. He's got great athleticism. He's a great leader. At least I think he's a great leader. I know some people have talked about they don't think he is. I think he presents himself as a pretty good leader. There's been moments where I don't agree with him, but that's all right. And I think he does the other things well.
Play a game with me here. Okay? Play a game with me here. Isn't it ironic? The Marcus Mariotas, the Gardner Minshews, the Tanner McKees, the Kenny Pickett's, all the backup quarterbacks that they've ever brought into Philly, kind of the guys that Nick has a skill set for. Pocket guys, spread guys. Look at the coordinators that he's brought in. Spread guys, drop backs, 7 steps. Isn't it funny? Every time that they look at a quarterback, not one of them has the same skill set as Jalen Hurts. You would think they would have signed in the offseason Tyler Huntley to back up Jalen Hurts. Right. Or they would have brought in Justin Fields to back up Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
They have no interest in that. You know why? Because they don't know how to coach that type of player.
Well, it's not. I don't.
Well, look at the player they're coaching now. I don't think they're doing a good job coaching.
Yeah, I really don't say that they're to knock on Jalen. That was not my
purpose. No, it's a knock on them.
Yeah, no, I don't know why people are sensitive.
That's not a knock on Hurts. That's a knock on them.
But look at this guy crying. Alfredo, you were crying in my Twitter DMs last night. Now you're crying on here. Brother, relax. Holy shit. Talk about your boyfriend for 2 seconds and you have an aneurysm. Dude, I'm not criticizing Hurts. I'm pointing out the differences in the players and the styles. And you have one player who's your starting quarterback. And to Sileo's point, instead of getting a player that resembles him, if something happened, you run the same offense. It's polar opposite. They got a pocket passer who can't move.
That's right.
I mean, it's a weird setup. It is. It's a weird setup.
Dylan Gabriel kind of has the same skill set. Kevin Stefanski wanted Dylan Gabriel and a guy like Shador, they kind of look alike in the pocket in skill set. I'm saying one guy's talented more than the other. I don't know. But that's the kind of guys that they want, the kind of guy he wants to coach. When you got this in Philly, you got a mobile quarterback, you got a guy that doesn't throw across the middle of the field, and the first thing you hear out of the coach's mouth is his strengths are knowing where to go with the ball and spreading the ball out. Well, shit, I've never heard Nick Sirianni ever say anything like that about Jalen Hurts in his entire time in Philadelphia.
I know some people will look at that as this big I don't even view it as that. Every player's got different skill sets. Jalen has been an amazing athlete and playmaker his entire career. He didn't grow up playing ball the same way that Tanner McKee grew up playing ball. I just find it interesting how they build an offense around Jalen Hurts, and then they have a backup quarterback that resembles nothing like it. That's why I think this week is going to be interesting. What do they do? I mean, if you look at Week 18 last year, Sills, when Tanner McKee played, he threw the ball 41 times. He had 41 pass attempts in that game. 41. That's a lot of passing the football, dude.
Do you not agree with my take? If they win on Sunday, they're going to lose on Monday.
What do you mean?
Okay. If that guy goes into that game and has 3 touchdowns and he spreads,
I don't think they're going to let him play great. I think they're going to vanilla.
That's what I said. They're going to throttle him down, and they're not going to open it up because you know why? They would rather lose that game on Sunday than have that narrative on Monday.
Let me ask you this, though, because I thought this very same thing, Sills. I thought the same thing. Do you think Howie's in the coach's ear?
Of course.
In terms of if Tanner McKee plays well, I'm getting a 3rd-round draft pick, maybe even higher for him this summer.
Okay, wait. So if you're Howie and all of a sudden he goes out there and he balls like that, and you see that guy being that, and you think that, and all of a sudden kid goes from a 7th-round pick to maybe a 2 or a 3, you're going to let him go?
I mean, I wouldn't, but maybe, I do wonder if that comes into it. Remember, this is a business. I think people think this is like a game where, everybody loves to buy their favorite.
What do you think Nick would rather coach, Jalen Hurts or Tanner McKee? I think Tanner.
Oh, are you talking about Nick Sirianni?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's even a question.
Well, then why would we get rid of somebody that the coach? Do they believe in
He came from Phillip Rivers. He says off the record and on the record all the time, Phillip Rivers is his favorite quarterback. He loved coaching him, loved playing with him. And remember, Nick Sirianni was not hired to develop or build around Jalen Hurts. He wasn't. Anybody that thinks he was is lying to themselves. He was hired when and go and re-listen to the famous opening press conference where everybody bashed Nick Sirianni. I encourage you all to go and re-listen to it. He talks about Carson Wentz. The whole thing was to come in, take Carson Wentz, who's a great thrower of the football, and try and give him a little Phillip Rivers in him, clean it up a little bit, Ultimately, Carson wanted out and demanded out, and that's what happened. Jalen, to his credit, seized every opportunity and became the starter of the Eagles. That's what happened.
I agree.
It's more of a testament to Jalen than anything.
It is.
Because they didn't want him to have that job. He took that job and said, you're not giving this job to anyone. This is my job. And that's a credit to him.
Here's some questions for you here. Do you believe, and I'm going to ask you one more time this, and I asked you a little bit yesterday, but I think we skirted over this too much. What do you take away that the Eagles have played 12 one-score games this year out of 16?
Well, it's a resemblance of their margin this year, no? We talked about the margin being so much smaller this year. Now, I think you do have to add in the context. Like most NFL games, I think, are one. Isn't there like some crazy stat about how many games end up one score in the NFL? Like you don't see betting lines that are bigger than one score most of the time. It's not like college. A lot of games are close. But I do think the Eagles are closer this year because their margin is smaller. Their offense hasn't been able to run the ball like they could a year ago. Their defense has been great, but took maybe a little bit longer this year, to get to that elite level. And I think that's perfectly indicative of what you expect from this team. I mean, when I'm telling you on the postgame show, I think this team can make a run, and you're telling me, Xander, I don't think they can win 4 games this way. Why do you say that? You say that because you believe the margin is too small. That is an indication that the margin is very small. But the Eagles, this is what I'll say about the Eagles. And I give credit to Nick and Jalen mostly for this, mostly Jalen. They know how to win games. Like you can be a great team, but not knowing how to win games and close games and these things, It's a factor. It's 100% a factor. And you used to say this about Jalen all the time, that he's smart in how he sees his way around a game. And I do think he's got such a great feel. If if they have a lead, he's not going to force the ball into a tight window to try and pick up a first down, because he knows, hey, I'd rather just punt the ball, trust our defense, and get to the next possession. Sometimes that might piss people off, because, including me, who wants them to push the ball, wants them to go pick up a first down, who wants them to throw past the sticks. He's like, nah, I don't need to do that. And he's right, because he's got a great defense and he trusts that defense, and he is able to play a different way. But it is interesting.
Let me take a look at 24. 34-29, that's one score. You lost to Atlanta, one point, 21-22. The New Orleans game was one score. Okay. The loss to Tampa, that was a 2-score. No. The Cleveland game was a 1-score. I just want to double check. Okay. The Giant game that you won was 2 scores, was 28-3, 37-17, 28-23. There's another one. You had 5 now. You beat Dallas 34-6. You beat Washington 27-18. That's not 2. That's not 1 score. You beat the Rams 37-20. That's not 1 score. You beat Baltimore 24-19. That is. You beat Carolina 22-16. That is. You lost to Washington 33-36. That's 1 score. You beat Dallas 41-7, and you beat New York Giants 20-13 at the end of the year. That's 1 score. You had 9 a year ago. So the margins were a little bit better last year. You had 9 games where you played 1-score games. This year you've played 12 ball games where you've had, again, and I think that comes down to whether or not you've had 3 and outs. How about this, Andrew? Do you think the schedule's played a factor where they've had no, and you brought it up earlier when we talked, they played here, they went Monday night, then they went Thursday, then they had a 10-day, then they played 3 games inside of 10 days. Do you think that schedule's also been a factor in the inconsistencies of the football team this year? I mean, remember, they're not as deep as they were a year ago.
Yeah.
And when you had injuries going in and out of the lineup, when you don't have a lot of chance to rest guys, don't you think that also plays a factor a little bit in how they were able to rest and prepare for the upcoming week?
100%, man. 100%. I mean,
because I do.
Player, most people, by the way, not even just football players, like I'll ask everybody in their own life. I mean, don't you have habits? Don't you have routines that you live by? If you go to work 5 days a week and you got 2 days off, you might handle your 2 days off differently than you handle your work. If you go to work at the same time every day, you get up at the same time every morning. All of these different things factor in. If your weekend off was a different weekend off, or your days off were a different day, the Eagles haven't been able to get in a rhythm at all this year. And the thing that I think is the biggest part about their schedule, outside of it being a first place schedule, is 0 back-to-back home games.
Yeah. I've never heard of such.
That team couldn't rest their head on their own pillows for more than a week at a time once this season.
Bro.
Talk about routine disruption. I mean, that is major routine disruption.
Sandra, you can't get me out of the Dan cave.
I'm aware. I know.
Hey, listen. But
hey, I'm close behind you. You can barely get me out of this Dan cave.
Now you get it. Because here, get this. I mean, one of the things I hated the most about playing football was we went from Tampa to Seattle, flew home. We went from Tampa to L.A., flew home, played a game, played a home game, got at least a little sleep. Then we went to New England. Then we went up to Chicago. Then we went up to Minnesota and Green Bay. We played 3 on the road. I'm like, my God, bro, it is exhausting. That's exhausting, man. You know what? People are going to go, you're making millions. I'm just telling you, man, changing time zones like that, when you're talking about a physical, it'd be like somebody going and have to knock down a building with a sledgehammer, and you have to do it in 5 different cities and 5 different time zones. I'm telling you, it's a tasking thing.
100%, dude. 100%.
It totally is. If they go 12-5 this year, don't you think that's even better than what they did going 14-3 a year ago with the number 1 schedule and with that type of schedule?
Yeah, I mean, I think last year was more.
Schedules aren't a true indicator of what a team is,
No, and the other part of it is like walking to the mountaintop, because me and a lot of fans, right? Like,
that's the point.
I have this desire as a fan. Like, what's the last thing left that I have as an Eagle fan? We got 2 Super Bowls in the last 8 years. Like, I don't have this burn. Not that I don't want to win, but hear me out. It used to be like, just win the Super Bowl this year. Now it's like my desire is bigger than that. It's more like, yeah, the Commanders have one, the Cowboys have one, even the Giants in their own way. The Eagles have the least Super Bowls in the NFC East. So if that's our desire, if our fan base desire is shifting to that type of level where we never had an Eagle land, one, that's going to come with different behaviors, for the fan base, and 2, that's going to come with a different level of pedigree that you have to live with and play with. We can't sit here and bitch about schedules if we want to be a dynasty. Sorry, it's just not in the cards. You got to play who's in front of you, and you got to manage it. Or else, don't try and be a dynasty because you're going to fall off every time you bitch about your schedule being hard. So it's kind of part of the territory that we're going into. I think it speaks to the level of success that they've had recently and that they've been able to achieve, especially in the last 4 years and even further in the last 8 years. But it's where we are, man. I would encourage everybody to embrace it, but also understand how it's changing. If you're a fan of this team, and a lot of you have been fans a lot longer than I have. I'm a generally young man based on the audience that we speak to every day. Being a fan of this team 10 years ago is a lot different than being a fan of this team today. It is.
You were the Cubs.
Yeah. And in a way, that's a beautiful thing, and whether you like Jalen or don't like Jalen, he deserves a lot of credit for that.
You know what I mean by you were the Cubs and the Red Sox? You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean by that. Yeah.
Well, wait till next year. Wait till next year. That was
with nothing to really show for it.
No.
I mean, I was talking to my one uncle, over Christmas.
Disappointments in the Andy Reid NFC Championship games.
Actually, good story for you. My uncle, he's not like my direct uncle. He's like my mom's Italian. You know how Italians are. You got uncles. You don't know how they're related.
They're related to everybody. I got it.
I don't know. My Uncle Lou. He's one of the best guys I ever met. All right. He is actually, for any Eagle fan out there who has seen, there was this thing that went viral earlier this year of a guy who posted up his Eagles bus for sale, his tailgate bus. All right. I don't know if anybody saw it. I'll try and find it and show the picture. I saw that bus. I said, that's my Uncle Lou's bus. So it's my Uncle Lou. That's his bus. But he's been an Eagle fan. He got a new bus already for tailgates. He's selling his old one. He goes to every home game. He's gone to every home game for 20, 30 years. He said to me, we were talking about the Birds at Christmas, and he said to me, basically what I just said. He said, yeah, I have gripes with the team, but Xander, I've been a fan of this team for so long. The only thing I can really come back on is, man, we win a lot of football now. We didn't win this much football ever. No. We win a lot of football. We got trophies to show for it. We had a parade on Broad Street. Now, I encouraged him to not be complacent, the Bama fan that I am, and said, I don't give a rat's ass. You go for greatness every day.
He's all eagled up.
Yeah, you go for greatness every single day you're alive, Uncle Lou. That's what I told him. But it wasn't interesting, just to hear him kind of talk about that. Yeah. I got to show you the bus, by the way. I'll try and post the picture.
Give me a picture of it here. Let's do these super chats, Xander.
All right, we do it. I see
Mark. We got Mark Holmes in the green room. We're going to get Philly 500 up here also here at the top of the hour. We're going to get everybody out of here for New Year's Eve here. So, hey, by the way, man, you know what? Who do you got tonight, man? Ohio State, Miami.
Sills, I think your squad has a really good chance. But I think the game, and you alluded to this earlier, has to be played a very certain way. If you get into, it's got to be low scoring. It's got to be a defensive football game because I don't think your offense is consistent enough, dude. I mean, you guys got some playmakers, but you don't have the quarterback. I think struggles. I think he's not great in pressure.
You were dead on at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and I think if Miami's going to get the win tonight, their defense going to have to get some points, not only stops. I think they're going to have to create takeaways.
Pick six.
And you know what else I think you're going to have to do is I think you got to win the field position battle. You got to give yourself short fields, and you got to make Ohio State march because that team can play, and that team is explosive. So
can't give them short fields.
I'll say this though, I don't think Ohio State's as dominant as some people
think. You think they cover?
What's the line?
9.5.
9.5 is the line for Miami?
Yep.
Holy shit, they're giving you guys no respect.
None. By the way, they're pissed off, and we have the better O line and a better D line, and I want to see this. I told them that last night. I had a chance to Zoom the guys. It was really cool. Mario let us Zoom the guys at a team meeting last night, and me, Michael Irvin. There was Ed Reed in the room. It's kind of like behind the scenes stuff. Man, I tell you what, Michael Irvin was screaming.
I believe it.
He's a great teammate.
Yeah, he is.
I loved him as my teammate. Xander, let's get these supers before we get these guys up here. We got a bunch of supers here, and we appreciate that, guys, very much for you guys sending these here. We're gonna
trying to find the picture of my uncle's bus. It's amazing. He's got a full bar on the inside of it. He buys old school buses and converts them. He's a savage. Awesome. My Uncle Lou is legendary, dude.
I love that.
He's legendary. All right, here we go. Here's Miguel. What's up, Miguel? Big Sills. Caleb Williams is about to go over 4K yards. Something shitty Hurts will never do. I'm tired of doing. Oh, come on, Miguel. Don't be so infatuated with the passing yards, man. Passing yards are good and all, but they're not a great indication, and especially in today's game where of always winning football games.
Oh,
here's Walkout. What's up, dude? Happy New Year, guys. I really appreciate finding this channel in 25. Look forward to following more in 26. Thank you, brother. Pretty cool. $10 super chat.
Absolutely.
Here's RMP. What's up, RMP? Thanks for the big super chat, brother. $20. Happy New Year to Jacob and the Eagle Nation. Stay safe out in them streets. Go, Bird. Yeah, everybody. If you're going out on New Year's Eve, come on, everybody. Be safe out there. All right. I don't want to hear anything from Jacob Nation causing a ruck. All right. Here's Spurger. Becomes a member. Thank you, Spurger. Kimberly, what's up, Kimberly? Happy New Year, football fan. Thanks, Z, for creating such an awesome community. Sills, thanks for teaching me more about the game. Ready for CFB. Go Dogs. I think the Dogs have a good chance.
I think Dogs are winning it all.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I think Bama knocks off Indiana.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, here we go. Couple more. Right, what's up, dude? Sills, you said the questions are going to be asked if Tanner throws the ball all over. We got that one, right? Yeah. Mr. Hill. At the end of the day, as Eagle fans, regardless of how it looks at times, we should appreciate this era of Eagles football. Agreed, but don't get complacent. They can accomplish a lot, and we should all want them to.
Look at my boy in the green room here. Look at the Philly 500.
I'll tell you what, Philly 500 can do no wrong. This guy was so right. I mean, if you go and rewatch the battle royales week by week, and you see the highs that Mark rode at times when the Cowboys would show flashes, and Philly just all year, no matter what they did, we'll see in December. Let's see December football, and the clock strikes December, and it's almost like Philly 500 when Wingardium Leviosa with his wand, and boom, the collapse. They can't win a football game. That's just how it goes, Sil. That's just
absolutely, bro. Hey, what are we doing tomorrow? Real quick before we get out of here, we're going to do the 10 o'clock. We're going to do the 10 to 11 tomorrow, like we did.
That's good.
All right, we'll do that. All right, AZ, have a great New Year. Make sure you tell your family I love them and thank them.
Will do, brother. Appreciate you, man. See you, brother.
You got it, man. All right. I will say this, though. What a legendary year for Dak Prescott. Holy cow. Let me take a look at something here before I bring this guy up here. And I've got to give Mark some love here. He said that Dak was going to have a spectacular season this year. Let's see where he is. Dak Prescott, number 1 in the NFL in passing. Holy shikes. 30 tutties. 4,500 passing yards. 67 completion yards. 280 a game. Shit. 589 in attempts in 16 ball games. Where's that noodle arm? Where is he? Here he is. 3,200 yards. 454 in attempts, 64.5 in completion percentage. I mean, what happens when you're 0 for 8 again the Bucs second half and you're 0 for 7 in the Bills second half? I mean, but on to me. Let's try to complete a pass. Without further ado, look at this here. 2 Dak glazed donuts. And without further ado, my friend, Mark Holmes, the greatest content creator for the Dallas Cowboys and the legend himself, Mr. Donut. He is Mr.
I
Philly.
can't wait to see what he's got. What's he got? That's it. Okay.
Mark. Mark, tell me something, man.
Yeah, tell us how great your boy is. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
How great a year did Dak
year.
have this year?
He had a great year. I told
Great
you
year.
guys, whenever he's had a catastrophic injury, the next year he plays well. And that would have been the time for the Cowboys.
He played great.
Well, but as good as he played, everything equally opposite, the defense sucked. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I'll still stand by, if the Eagles had the Cowboys defense, you'd be a 3-win team.
Oh,
you know what? I could tell you what. Jalen Hurts would have way better numbers if we had the Cowboys defense, because with that defense, you have to throw every time you're out on the field. You have to throw way more. So, of course, he's going to have blown-up numbers. But the truth of the matter is that when December came and he had to go be great against the Minnesota Vikings to give you a shot, he couldn't do it. When the pressure mounts, the guy collapses. That's just the way it is. And the truth is when we look back at Dak Prescott's career, nobody's going to think about this season.
Was your guy great in Buffalo last week?
Wait a second. You don't give any credence to the 32nd ranked defense in football. And when you said that about Hurts, wait a minute. Hurts had a shitty defense in 23. He had 20 turnovers.
That's right. And where did he take him?
He did take him to the playoffs. Hey, Mark, he did.
Okay.
He did take him to the playoffs. That's a fact.
We've said this. We've said this.
Shitty as this one, but okay, I hear you.
For how long
did you have been doing this? Hold on. Did you have
how long have we been doing this?
Situation.
Okay, fine. But what's your excuse the previous 9 years?
The previous 9 years?
Yeah, when they had good defenses and he still lost.
No,
when he lost as a 1 seed, when he lost as a 2 seed.
This Dallas Cowboys team has never had a defense anywhere near what you guys have.
Oh, come on, man. You guys had good enough defenses to do stuff in the playoffs. You are the biggest Dak glazed donut eater in the world. And the guy next to you, he eats it too. He eats the crumbs. It's insane.
I think
you guys love chokers.
So wait a second you love chokers. So according to Philly 500, Dan Marino's a loser too because he was 7-9 in the postseason.
No. But what do they always say about Dan Marino? Dan Marino was great, but he didn't win.
Okay.
Dan Marino at least got his team to a Super Bowl.
True.
Okay. True. Dak hasn't even sniffed a championship game. Let's get to a championship. Let's smell it. At least I can say Dan Marino broke the touchdown record. Dan Marino went to a Super Bowl. This guy's done nothing. And then when he goes and he plays a team like the Vikings, he can't throw a touchdown when he needs his team to do it.
Or as a good coach, but okay.
And in December, he's an elite quarterback though.
Just let me ask.
I got to ride with him.
Let me just ask a question. Do you look at what your quarterback did last week and say that was elite with Buffalo? Not a single yard in the second half?
Here's what I look at. Here's what I think. I have never seen in my life a team that can come out in one half. A guy can make great throws, and then in the second half can't hit the side of a barn. This is the coaching, and this is Nick Sirianni. He invented the prevent offense. That's what it is. Mark, it's the prevent offense.
Mark,
that's what we're running. We run it.
They were spreading the football around. I went back and watched the 22. Mm-hmm. Get this. I don't believe that coach trusts the quarterback. And get this. The quarterback, every time when he's been put in a position where he's had to play, like the NFC title game or the Super Bowl, the guy has played. Now,
I'll give you that.
This guy here, help me out on this. I think that coaching staff on that side of the football with Philadelphia, I think he's a liability to that Eagle offense. I think Nick Sirianni's a liability.
He is. He's running a prevent offense. Sills, I'm convinced they tell Jalen Hurts. We're up 13-0.
Yeah.
We've got literally the turnover battle. We're winning the turnover battle. If we don't turn over the battle, we have a 95% chance we're going to win this game.
I
If there's
agree.
nothing there, throw it away. Throw it away. Throw it away. How can you go 15-17 in Tampa game in the first half and then not throw a completion the second half? These guys play too conservative way too early in a game. And that's why you lose games. You lose a lead to Tampa. You lose to Denver. You almost lose a lead to Minnesota. You lose a lead to Dallas. You lose a lead to Buffalo because of the coaching.
Well, let me take that philosophy and throw it over to Mark. Mark, maybe if they played more like Nick Sirianni, instead of having what's his name throw in tighter windows, maybe you guys would have more of an opportunity to play field position. And I get it. You can't with that defense.
Bro, the last 5 games, 75% of the time, the opposition got a field goal or a touchdown.
That's
75%
terrible.
of the time. You have to score. Why do you think they went for it 6 times on 4th down? They figured it doesn't matter where the other opposition
theoretically have no chance to win with that.
It doesn't matter where they get the ball. They're going to score. So we have to score every single time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I get it. Ball control. You get a lead. You want to run in the second half and run the clock out. That's a great thing that you can do that. We don't have that luxury with that defense that's literally historically bad. We've already surpassed 2020's defense in points given up.
Wow. What happened to Trayvon Diggs? What happened there with that?
There's the story that's out there, and then there's the real story. Let's just say we're going to keep it right there. Okay.
Tell us a better one.
No, I'm not going to. No, it's bad. If it is actually true, it's really, really.
What is he banging guys' wives? What is he doing?
We'll just leave it there, lying where it is. Okay.
You think Michael Irvin knows?
The well was poisoned.
You think Michael Irvin knows?
He probably does.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him.
Okay.
So you think it's more internal? Let's leave it here. You think it's more internal with something internal with the front office?
I want you to just think about this for a second. They say that he got a concussion from a TV hitting him upside the head. Why would you all of a sudden keep that quiet? Why would you hide? Is that something for you to hide? That's not something the organization did.
Why they cut him?
You're looking at a situation of, you knew he was going to get cut after they took the $500,000 from him for not working out with the team, after he threw the defense coordinator kind of under the bus and so on. It ended up being a toxic relationship. And so the last straw was kind of, they got tired of him moping around. He wanted to supposedly stay in DC after the Commanders game. And, Brian Schottenheimer's like, we all came here together. We all go back together and so on. And they finally just said, why wait? Why wait?
I'd fire his ass too for that. All right, Philly, tell me this, man. What's wrong with the run game? And here, I'm going to throw this at you here too. The Buffalo Bills were 30th against the run. And Xander's brought a great point up this week. Everyone goes like this. Well, I don't really believe San Francisco's defense. I don't believe the Bears' defense. I don't believe anything. You haven't taken advantage at all in any way whatsoever of anybody's bad defense. I mean, so are you concerned that you think that you can win? Do you believe you can win 4 games in the playoffs with that offense being the way and playing the way it is?
It depends what offense we play that plays the whole game.
So it's the matchups.
No, well, because
hey, by the way, Trayvon is signing with the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's not a surprise. He's got to go with his butt buddy.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, if you look at the way they come out and play, right, in first halves, they're capable. If they play like that in the first half, I think they'll be fine. If they go into this conservative mindset at the second half with a 13-point lead, you're going to lose. They'll lose. If the Eagles lose in the playoffs, it's going to be because they gave up a lead and control of the game. They're not going to get blown out by somebody pushed around the whole game. I think they come out, they play, they go big, and then they back off. That's how they will lose, because pretty much but 2 games, that's how they've lost every game. And I think that's what they'll do again if they're to lose. Now, I thought in the first half, I actually thought the run game was going good. I think Barkley had 60 yards in the first half. They weren't actually not doing bad in the first half, running the ball and throwing the ball. And then they get a 13-point lead, and it's like, let's go conservative. And when they do that, they will lose. So they've got to find a way to stay out of Nick Sirianni's vaunted prevent offense. And I think they'll be fine.
Mark, I want to give you a response here on Diggs signing with the Packers. What's your takeaway on that?
It wouldn't be a surprise because him and Micah were best of buddies. I don't know if he's really going to be able to help him some. Maybe this is Jay Ratcliffe 2.0. Jay Ratcliffe was supposedly injured, couldn't play for the Cowboys. And as soon as he got signed by the Bears, hey, I'm ready to go. Maybe that's the case there. But one thing, I want to add something here, because as you are talking about how bad the running game is for the Eagles, Saquon is around 1,140 yards right now in the season, correct?
Correct.
Do you, as we go through, and we always say the Cowboys have a great running game, do you realize that would be the best rushing season that the Cowboys had, not counting this year, since 2019? We have not had a great running game. 1,100 yards, shit, we would have been ecstatic if Zeke was doing that the last couple of years that he had. Just kind of pointing that out there.
So you're implying then that the quarterback didn't elevate the offense because the offense is 26 still.
I can't say he did. It's not like he's got scrubs for wide receivers. He's not throwing to Noah Browns and, Cedric Wilsons and things. He's got two premier wide receivers.
Mark, I'm going to land on this side, though. I'm going to land on Philly's side.
He's also not choking in the first round of playoffs.
Yeah, but I'm going to land on Philly's side here with one thing.
Go ahead.
Okay? I'm going to land on this. I got to tell you, man, I think that coach is a liability, man. I think what they do is this. They just believe that. I don't believe that they think that quarterback. I think they think he's limited. I don't believe that they trust him. I don't know why, but they don't trust him. And I think that's got a lot to do with the inexperience of the coordinators that they hire. Let me ask you this, Philly. Check this out. So Nick Sirianni, do you think he fucking says anytime in any way during a game, hey, Vic, why don't you run cover 2? During a game, he's going to look over at Kevin Patullo and go, why don't we run a zone run here? Why don't we do this? Remember what he said just after the game? He goes, in the second half, I need to help Kevin a little more. Well, he's not doing any of that to Vic. Vic wouldn't have any of that. You'd hear a Buddy Ryan, get the hell out of here. I got this. So again,
what I think, no, he wouldn't. But I think, how many punches do you think Buddy Ryan would have landed on Kevin?
Oh my God, Sirianni would have 2 black eyes.
He would have thrown so many punches. He couldn't stand that. I mean, look what he did in Houston. I think Nick is the problem more than Patullo. And I don't like Patullo. I think there are 3 great problems on this offense. 1, the struggles on the offensive line. 2, they could come out with a good plan. But as soon as the defense adjusts, Kevin Patullo cannot adjust to what the adjustment of the defense is. And then when you do get a lead, they're going to go into Nick Sirianni's prevent offense. So to me, those three things are killing the Eagles. And I don't know that Nick cares, because I was watching Hard Knocks and I posted this in my video where there was a picture where he was preaching in the meeting about the turnovers. 41-2, 95% of the time we win if we win the turnover battle. That's how he thinks. 13-0, I've got the turnover battle won. I've got a 95% chance to win this game if I don't screw up and turn the ball over. That's how he thinks. That's how he approaches his offense. And I think that if you do that in the playoffs, it's going to burn you. You can't do that.
They picked up that $12 million, by the way, that 11.5 or whatever it was. The Packers picked the salary.
They got it. Yep, they picked it up. I was going to say, it is breaking that sources are Diggs is signing with the Packers. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. Congratulations, Packers, on getting Trayvon Diggs and all the baggage that goes with it.
Does he have anything left in the tank to help them in the playoffs?
He's about as healthy as he probably has been all season. But he's given up a 156 rating when quarterbacks. Wow. Quarterbacks have gone. Now, this may be, you never know. This might be, I just don't really want to be here. You screwed me for the $500,000 of my, training money, right? And my best buddy got traded at the last minute. All the people that I liked and then everything else are gone. I got a defense I just don't believe in. I am not a zone guy. I am a man-to-man, and we just suck. We're not going anywhere, so why am I going to try and hurt myself?
So he quit.
Yeah, I think he definitely quit. Now, he's had 2 knee issues, and after the first one, he never was the same. It just did not seem like he was. It felt like he came back too soon. It wasn't right, and then he ended up messing up the other knee. And so the same thing happened this year. He was trying to prove to the Cowboys that I worked out and you were wrong, and he came back too soon and just was never right. So, congratulations to him. I'm glad he's got another job. I'm surprised they picked up the whole contract.
That's for damn sure. Hey, Philly,
I believe in him.
You tell me, Philly, do you believe in rest or reps? Do you think the players should have been rested? Or do you believe that, again, do you think they needed a little bit more reps getting ready to head into the playoffs? Because I'll say, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I think the defense has momentum. I don't think the offense has momentum at all going into the playoffs.
Well, if the offense just keeps the pedal to the metal, I think they'll be fine. But I think when the coach starts pulling back, that's the problem. But as far as resting your starters, most of the time I would probably say rest them. In this case, I do not. I do not think you should be resting your starters because you have to try to win this game. If Chicago loses, which could happen, you get the second seed. That you got like an 80% chance if you win in the first round that you're playing Chicago in the second round, most likely. So you want to play that game in Philly or do you want to play it in Chicago? So I think as long as you got a chance for that second seed, I think you should be playing for it. I don't think you should be resting their starters.
Matt Eberflus, is he back? Is he back next year?
If he is, I'm going to jump off a bridge. Okay. Yeah, he's gone. Jerry has kind of hinted, cryptic messages and kind of let you know that the defense is not good. The question will be
he'll pluck one of our defensive
everybody go, and will they actually try and go out and get like Brian Flores?
Don't know. I hope not.
No, you know what? No. Hey, I'll tell you what. Clint Hurt.
I know. I want Hurt. I want Hurt back, and I want Christian Parker back.
And
God,
who else I want back? Bobby King. I'd want him back.
Oh, yeah. That linebacker. I mean, the defensive coaching staff is great.
It's great.
You can get rid of the rest of the offense.
Mark, the Eagles have the best defensive coaching staff in pro football.
I agree.
I mean, the linebacker coach.
They do need to do something about Jalen Hainsworth there. Yeah, the cheap shots. Come on, man. He was. Come on.
Oh, get the freak out of here, dude. You're going to talk about cheap shots. Buffalo, for 2 years, they've been cheap shotting us. In the last 2 times we played, cheap shot us.
You think that was on purpose? Tagged them in the eye?
No,
bro.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. Of course you, Philly. Of course you know.
Well, I think the best of people. I don't think that the guy poking people in the eye on purpose. I mean, your quarterback gets away with spitting at us, and then you're going to sit there and talk to me? Bullshit. Your guy got away with it. Yes, he did. He spit at him. Well, he had 2 guys. He spit in between right at him. He could have turned to the left or the right. He's a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit.
He's on
piece of shit. Dak.
Right there by
you see Dak? I've never seen a guy Hard Knocks.
He wouldn't.
I've never seen a guy on Hard Knocks ever in my life so happy to lose. You see Dak at practice? Dak's at practice. He loves losing. He's so happy. Oh, I'm at practice. We're about to miss the playoffs again. Yay, yay, yay. He's a shitty-ass quarterback choking loser. That's what he is. That's what he is.
Wait a minute. Mark, you think they're one and done?
One and done.
Yeah, keep saying it because you said that every week last year. And we won and won and won and won.
Get his ass out of here. Keep saying it. Keep saying it.
Hey,
keep saying it. Keep saying
all right, Mark, who is the offensive MVP?
Keep the couch warm, Mark. Keep the couch warm.
Who is the offensive
Couch
MVP?
Boys are back.
And who was the defensive MVP of the Cowboys this year?
The Couch Boys. Let's call them by their proper name. The Couch Boys.
I'm gonna Couch Boys. It's gonna have to be Quentin Williams.
Yeah,
on the defense.
Quentin Williams and Dak.
Yeah.
Okay. On Eagles.
I mean, who else would it be on the offense? I mean,
it could be Pickens.
But
I think you should go Pickens. Freak Dak.
You know, he doesn't catch him.
Pickens is going to get a $30 million a year deal, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Pay him.
And you know where he's going to go? New England, because they're going to get up their eggs in New England. And Pickens is going to get that money in New England. You watch, they're going to pay his ass up there. For the Eagles.
Hey, Mark, make sure that recliner's plugged in. You got to make sure it goes back. The Cowboys. Yeah, I'm sending you a blanket, too. We're going to keep you warm during the playoffs as you watch your real team play.
Hey, okay, Philly, do you think they're one and done?
No. I think we're going to win the whole thing again.
You're going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
With that offense.
They're going to keep the pedal to the metal. They're going to keep the pedal to the metal.
The pedal to the metal, the offense has not had the pedal.
Listen, the only reason the Eagles won the game went the way it was because they stopped trying on offense. If you just keep doing what you're doing, you're gonna be fine. The problem when you look at the games, 24-6 versus Tampa, you have halftime lead. You have a 14-point lead against Denver, 8 minutes left. You have a big lead against Minnesota, you blow. You had a 21-0 lead against the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, obviously they're doing something in the second half different than in the first half. If they can tweak that and stop it, they'll be fine.
Do you believe this is the worst offensive line that the Philadelphia Eagles have had since 2020?
Yes, I do.
And
I think you need to go early. I think early in the draft, you've got to go out and get yourself interior linemen. I mean, I think you have to get maybe a couple.
Aren't all those guys locked up? Big contracts?
Most of them. But a Steen, like right guard, they need a right guard. I think they need to upgrade at right guard. And the center situation with Jurgens is, is he going to ever recover from that back injury? I think that's a legit question. I think you need to do something about it.
How is he a Pro Bowler this year?
I don't know,
man. He shouldn't have been. It was bad, very bad.
Eagle fans were like, the fuck?
I mean, dude.
He shouldn't have been. Jordan Davis should have been a Pro Bowler, but not Cam Jurgens.
Yeah, Jordan Davis, definitely. Jordan Davis, he's been playing lights out.
You want to hear this?
That's everything that I thought he was going to.
I was talking shit on him. I did a segment. My friend over with the Eagles sent me about 16 clips, right? He goes, by the way, take a look at the production. This guy had 70 tackles this year, 4.5 sacks, and he's got 9 TFLs.
Yeah.
And he's really a two-down guy.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, man. That's good. That's moving it, and that's getting it done there. Hey, so I'll ask you, Mark, how many games do you think Jalen Hurts throws for over 200 yards in the playoffs?
See, how many has he thrown this year during the season?
Well, there's been 2 games where he didn't complete a pass in the second half.
They're going to play one game, and I think they're going to be behind most of it. So probably one.
See, this guy has no clue. He has no feel for the Eagles and the way they play.
I tell you what, if it ends up being,
they don't fall behind.
Hold on.
The problem is they get a lead and blow them.
Let's go. San Francisco does score a lot of points. Their defense sucks. So if you're looking at that one,
but Philadelphia's not taking advantage of bad defenses this year.
No, not at all.
No, we played Dallas twice.
And you split.
I know. It should never.
And they were 1-score games, both of them.
Should have swept them. We're up 21-0. Typical.
Can I ask one question?
Prevent offense, baby. Prevent offense.
Can I ask one?
Revolutionizing football. The prevent offense. I love it.
You know what's funny to me is listening to you and Xander before here, where you guys were talking about how difficult the schedule was because you don't have a game regular on Sunday and stuff. It's like, you know what? The Cowboys have to do that every year. We had 4 freaking Thursday games. We had a Sunday game, and I was like, God, what is it like? I forgot.
This guy is so delusional.
A 1:00 Sunday game. Every game we play. No, bro, we played on Christmas.
I agree. You should not be on national TV. Nobody wants to watch you. You guys are never good at the end of the year. You play, and your Thursday games. But your Thursday games are you play Thursday, then you play the week after on Thursday. You don't play the short weeks like we got to play the short weeks. You're so full of shit. Your team don't deserve national TV. They stink. They're the Couch Boys.
Then how did a stinking team beat you?
Because of a prevent offense by the great Nick Sirianni. Mastermind.
So Cowboys actually had a good game.
21-0, dude. You were done. You were done. We went into a prevent offense.
All right.
We went to a prevent offense.
Your coach
we went into
choked against the Cowboys.
It doesn't matter who we play. If we're up, we're going to blow the lead because we play a prevent offense. We are revolutionizing football with Nick Sirianni's genius prevent offense, all right?
Hey, Philly, do you take anything into this? You played 12 one-score football games out of 16 games heading into the final weekend. Last year, you had like 8. This year, you have 12 going into the final week of the season. Your margins for error this year are so thin compared to a year ago. What does that tell you about your football team and all these games this year that you played one score?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It seems like over the last few years, we've gotten used to it. The problem is like, I just think that if you look at a lot of those games, right, besides the Giants game and the Bears game, I think if you look at a lot of those games, we're controlling the game. For whatever reason, we blow these leads and we let our foot off the gas. I just look at so many games this year when I look back at that schedule and I say, damn, we're up 24-6 on this team. We're up 14 points on this team with 8 minutes left. Like you got to finish those games. We don't finish. And that makes everything harder and closer than it has to be, I think.
All right, final question for you guys. Mark Holmes. By the way, I'll read all the supers at the end here. Do the Cowboys finish 8-8-1 and win against the New York Giants? And is Dak playing, by the way?
He is per Jerry Jones. He will start, and they'll go from there. So
of course he will. He's got to pad his stats.
At the moment, he's 32 yards ahead of Matthew Stafford. Well, hey, it's all he's got. It's all we got.
It's all he is. It's all he is. That's why I've never seen a guy so happy to lose in my life.
Okay, get this.
Never.
Mark.
Ever.
Now, Mark, watch this. If the Eagles win on Sunday, they lose on Monday. And here's what I mean. If that guy Tanner McKee throws for 3 touchdowns and spreads that football around, let me tell you this. You know what you're going to hear in Philly? And you know what Philly 500 is going to be doing? How come the coaches don't believe in Jalen Hurts like that?
No,
that they don't call the game like that.
No, because here's what's going to happen. He's going to throw 3 touchdowns in the first half. And then he's going to do nothing in the second half because they're going to go into prevent offense. I can tell you right now, his second half numbers will be way down from his first half numbers. Prevent offense, baby. Prevent offense.
Wait, let me sneak this one in here, Mark, in honor of New Year's Eve. What would be the Mark Holmes 2026 resolution heading into this coming year? What would be the resolution?
That the Cowboys hire Brian Flores and that Jerry and Stephen Jones go for a world cruise on the yacht and let football people take care of the organization.
That's some yacht they have too, by the way. I've seen that bitch. That thing's unbelievable. I've actually stood on that thing. That thing is pretty insane there. All right.
You spend $2 million a year just in gas.
I know, man. It's crazy.
It's just freaking fuel.
Philly 500. What would be your New Year's resolution for 2026?
My New Year's resolution? My New Year's resolution is going to be, I am not letting Mark Holmes off the hook anymore. I am going to double down on it. I am going to be harder on his ass than ever before. I've been too easy on him, and it's got to change. I'm coming after him full throttle.
Okay. One bonus question here. Okay, I'm just going to leave it right here. If the Eagles end up being one and done, which is a bigger disappointment? The Cowboys that fired all of their coaching staff and started all over and ended up being a game above what over and under, or Philly, who was supposed to be in the Super Bowl?
Us. There's expectations with us.
Okay.
You know, you guys are a bunch of losers. Changing coaches doesn't ever solve anything.
Okay.
To me, I think I think the Eagles are in a window where they got to take advantage of these opportunities. You look at this playoff, okay? You look at both conferences. I think the Eagles could go back and win, and I'm giving them a lot of credit and credence that they're the champs. But this is wide open. I have never seen a playoffs where I'm like, man, I can't get a feel for it at all. You think the Rams are the best team? They go and they lose to the Falcons. It's like, what's going on here? Yeah. So I have no idea how this thing's going to turn out. It's going to be a wild ride.
Absolutely. Guys, I want to wish both of you guys a blessed New Year's Eve. Please be safe.
You too, my friend.
You guys are wonderful. Mark, thank you so much for your fun all year long. Philly, man, you've been absolutely a riot. He's going. By the way, Philly 500's on a heater right now, boy. This guy's got a lot of winning going on, Mark. I mean, this guy's on a heater. Even you have to admit it. Come on now. He's on a heater here.
Tomorrow starts a new year.
And don't forget, I told you in September.
Be better.
I told you in October, told you November, wait for December 1st. Dallas choke season's on the way. And they did not disappoint at all.
Hey, guys. God bless you guys. Happy New Year. Thank you for doing it.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You got it. That's legendary. Mark Holmes and Philly 500. Thank you. By the way, Big Z, we got some supers to read here. Let's make sure we get these supers in here too, by the way. Want to read these supers. 500's quick-witted indeed, but can't wait for next week. I can't wait to see these games too coming up here, man. Dan, literally can't wait for next weekend's Philly loss. I promise to be here next Wednesday for his come to Jesus moment. Sincerely, yours, everyone. Woo! Yeah, Cowboy fans rooting for the Eagle losing. Diggs got tired of Dak's ass, my boy Marsh. All right. Very good. Cheap shots. You got a guy in Buffalo throwing Hurts while he's out of bounds. I did see that. That was a late hit. I thought it was a late hit. Fair game if cheap shots ain't getting called on either side. Mikey, I saw that. I thought he was out of bounds when he put a tag on him there at the sidelines there. I agree with you, man. Absolutely. Do we have any more here? If we don't, guys, here we go. Dan, I can't wait for next weekend's first and last week of the playoffs for the 25 seasons for the Philadelphia She-Girls. All the Philly 500 Eagles shortcomings are coming home to roost. Eddie. Woo! Eddie, thank you. Eagles have a blowtorch Timu defense. Ask Sales. They did. And your general manager had to go out and make 9 different moves because they sucked in the offseason. All true. All that and Dak is on the couch. Congratulations to you. Captain Obvious. Get this. This guy's trying to deny the fact that his fucking general manager took a blowtorch and then had to come back and sweep up his mess. Congratulations. Hey, Marsh, you know what I love about what you just recognized? You want me to give Howie Roseman credit for blowtorching the defense and building it back up again. Congratulations for lighting your house on fire. Sills, keep Mike off the field tonight for making a fool of himself, please. No way. And get this. I told Mike this before. Marsh, I love you, dude. Hey, Michael Irvin's been doing that shit since he was 17 years old. He ain't doing anything different. Happy New Year's to you too, my friend. Patullo admitted to running plays just to run them. What? Dak has 90-degree winter plays in a dome and still can't win. Stop it. Okay? They do play in the dome. Dak is better than Bernie Madoff. Come on, man. Oh, my God, man. You guys were great with the supers today on this New Year's Eve, and I appreciate you. All right. Mike Canes. Tonight. 23-20. Miami. They win in advance. They would have beaten Texas A&M and Ohio State. I want some redemption tonight for Mike Canes. 23-20, University of Miami. Guys, I want to thank you guys. Tomorrow we're going 10 to 11 Eastern time. Xander and I are going to do a quick hour just to give you guys as we get ready for Friday and Football Friday too. So we'll have all the usual suspects on Friday. We'll see if we can get somebody for the playoffs on Monday. No, Tuesday. I think we're going to get Coach Brown on That'll be on Tuesday. So we appreciate you. Happy New Year's Eve. Be safe. Happy New Year's Day as well. If you guys aren't with us tomorrow, thank you so much. Please hit the like button on the way out. Xander, Joe, thank you. 10-1 tomorrow. We'll see you on the flip side.